Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner. I'm here with Sean Bell.
Aye.
Matt Murray.
Aye.
And James Farley.
Hello, I'm last again then.
Yep. Well,
You
sorry,
kicked
actually,
off.
that's
You
pretty
were all
bad.
weird about it when you were first.
You were a bit weird about it last week.
No, I was
James.
just happy because I was surprised, and then now I'm back to being last again.
So what? Should I just announce you first every week then?
Can't you just change it around a bit? Like
Well, he has done. You were first, now you're last.
exactly.
Okay,
I'm either first
one
or
sec.
last. I'm never second, never third.
All right, okay. One sec. 3, 2, 1, Matt. Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner and I'm here with James Farley.
Hello, David.
Matt Murray.
Hello.
And Sean Bell.
Hey.
This show is supported by the people on Patreon. Those people that have signed up to our Patreon, that is. I never know how to do this bit, but we would like to give a special shout out to our Patreon producers this month, Aaron Patrick and Anthony Oakinson. Thank you so much for supporting us. It means the world to us. And anyone that signed up to Patreon and chucked a few bucks our way, it's really appreciated. It keeps us ticking by. And remember, if you start leaving or if you don't bother, we'll stop. Thanks very much for supporting us. Go to www.patreon.com/TCGS. Right, let's get straight into it, Matt. The feedback from last week's show, they all loved it, did they? They all loved it.
Absolutely not. Actually, on last week's show, we actually had some breaking news during the show, which is incredibly exciting.
We did.
About when Sony unveiled the PS5 controller, the Dual Sense. We had a bunch of tweets, but about our thoughts on it. But I'll read these few. SNO at Not a Spaceship on Twitter, loving the response to the PS5 controller on the Computer Game Show. I'm so confused that it's been such a Marmite response. Expected everyone to look at it and think it looked awful. David captured my response exactly.
Cool.
I'll read another couple here before we crack into it. 6quid at 6quid_games. Read PS5 sticks. Dave's skepticism about the pad sticks is the most sensible reaction I've heard. Like the Switch, the DualShock 4 sticks are notorious for their drift. Unless the new controller has back paddles to reduce the strain of L3 and R3, those sticks won't last. And Alex at Alex79 UK, I much prefer the PlayStation 5. Sorry, I much prefer the PS pad to the Xbox One. So much so that I even looked for a left Joy-Con with a stick and D-pad switch around. They don't exist. I guess it's just 23 years of PlayStation and not much Xbox. But
could you imagine, just before we move on, could you imagine the stick being towards the bottom of the left
That
Joy-Con
would be absolutely horrendous.
I know, right?
Sorry, Alex. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's all personal preference, whatever, but Jesus Christ, I can't imagine that.
If it had like an extra sticky outy bit for your hand to sit around, then
Yeah, I
maybe.
guess,
But without
maybe.
that, oh man.
But then you'd be looking at everything at like 45 degrees.
Anyway, he ends. I guess it's just 23 years of PlayStation and not much Xbox, but the Xbox left stick always feels weird to use to me. So yeah, starting with Stu's tweet, yeah, he's confused. He's confused that it's such a Marmite response. He expects everyone to think it looked awful, and Dave, you captured his the response exactly. I mean,
Cheers.
I haven't actually read everyone's thoughts about it online, but I thought generally people were like, oh, here's a redesign, it looks cool.
No, there's been a lot of memes, I think, that have come out of this and pictures and stuff like that.
I think there's definitely two camps. There's definitely people that say I like it and people that say I fucking detest it. Visually, I think, I know there's a lot of people that will listen to discussions like this and say it's pointless because you haven't used it yet. And I totally agree with your opinion. But for some reason, between the four of us, we've always been quite... we've talked about pads a lot. We've really focused on controllers. I remember even before TCGS was a thing, when the PS4 and the Xbox One was coming out, the discussions we had about those controllers, they just went on for ages. It's just one of those things that I think we're all interested in. But yeah, I mean, I assumed that everyone would hate this thing. And then I went on Twitter after the show and I noticed a lot of people saying that they loved it. But then I listened to a lot of podcasts after that, people saying it's the worst thing they've ever seen. So it really is like a Marmite pad, you know. And of course, we won't know until we hold the thing. But my word, I mean, visually, just to look at that image that they presented us, I thought it looked fucking appalling.
There is. I mean, almost certainly they probably will do other colours later, won't they? Because
we've seen the Photoshop one with the dark. Have you seen the dark grey one instead of the white? That looks great. Yeah, and the all black one looks decent.
I prefer the white one.
Man, it's too weird. It's really weird. Like, so there was a lot of people saying, "Oh, I don't know why white and black is such a weird thing. Microsoft have done it, and I've got one of Microsoft's white and black pads. They look stunning." I think it's because there's hardly any black and it's scattered around the pad.
I think, because
like it's just like
the Dual Sense, it's like they built the pad and then sort of stuck some armor plating to it. Do you know,
really
like
does
these
look
weird
like
sort of
that.
extra segments, which I like, but I can see why. Yeah, it does look sort of relatively bolted on. Whereas, as you say, the Xbox One pad, the black and white one, just looks designed the way it is right off the bat.
Yeah, like when you had a 360 pad with a plug and charge kit. And you used a different colour plug and charge kit on the back of it or whatever. All right, it wasn't as dominant because it was at the back, but when you looked at it, you instantly went, that just looks right. It looks like one of those old cars you see where they tried to replace a door and didn't bother getting it resprayed. They just left a green door on it or whatever.
I think what is interesting about it is that it's also, this is giving us like a bit of a preview of what the machine, not what it will look like, but
I didn't even think about that at the time.
Yeah, we didn't cover that, did we?
I didn't even actually think of that at the time.
Black and white console. Here we go.
Well, that's probably going to happen. The thing with the sticks, you know, like Six Squid has said here about the sticks being bad and everything. You know, have you heard this week they've addressed that?
Oh, really?
They've said that they are, you know, drastically improved. But we won't know that until we've actually, you know, touched it. But it still hasn't sorted out the placement, has it? Because I don't have a massive problem with the DualShock sticks, but yeah, the location is still wrong. It's still much better on the Xbox.
You didn't
pad.
get a PS4 at launch, did you, James?
I didn't know. No.
I think most of my anger towards those sticks come from the launch version of that pad, because it was just rubber that would wear away in no time. Like it was not durable at all, and that was my biggest problem with those sticks. And they did address that, because I got one with my Pro and it's just not worn away at all. It's been totally fine.
See, that's the thing. Like, my one's been fine. The only thing that I've found with it is just the battery life is just so bad. You know, it's like,
the battery life's appalling. Yeah.
After playing, I mean, you just play for an evening and you've got to put it on charge again because
I've been using my PS4 again, and it's shocking.
When you get a brand new one, it's like, this isn't so bad. And 6 months in, like you say,
it's not even
like
that. Like I bought a white PlayStation pad within the last few months, and it's still like
really?
An hour of Final Fantasy, and it's already like, looking at the battery, and it's like, okay, you got one bar left. It's like, how is this possibly a thing?
Yeah, mine does that. Yeah, I mean, I think the eye opener for me was when I finally got an Xbox One, because I got that about 6 months, maybe a year after the PS4. I think it was probably closer to 6 months. And I remember charging it up, and I think it was about a month after charging it, I had to charge it again, and I was like, what the fuck is this thing made from? Like, what is it made from?
See, that's the thing, because I mean, I'm not, as we know, I'm not a massive fan of the Xbox One, but they did nail the pad. Like, the pad is very good, and
I mean, again though, there's still room for improvement with that pad. You know, I don't like the button, because when I looked at the second image of that DualShock thing, the trigger and the shoulder buttons look just spot on. They look exactly what I'd want, and in fact, actually, the trigger and the triggers and the shoulder buttons on the DualShock 4 are incredible. They're better. Would I say they're better than the Xbox One? Probably.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Xbox One, but I've never liked the bumpers. The new Xbox One pad, or the one from the Xbox One onwards, I've never got on with like the bumpers. They've never felt as good as one on 360.
No, the bumpers.
The original one, like the original Xbox One controller I had really like clicky, like shoulder buttons that were very irritating. They were not so good. But the newer ones are much better, I think.
They are better, but I'd still prefer the PS4 ones. But yeah, I mean, it's such a big thing for me are the sticks, and I've never liked that placement. never liked it. And you say there that you've used a lot of Sony controllers, and I think there is a lot of what you've used before. You just get used to it, and the idea of change is awful. And again, it's all down to personal preference. But I genuinely believe that that Xbox 360 placement of sticks is the better option overall. But again, that might be just because I hammered the 360 and eventually moved over to the Xbox One. So maybe that's personal preference for me as well. Who knows?
But yeah, the idea of us getting like a black and white console is going to be very interesting, because that's going to be.
Well, yeah, I mean, Microsoft's console isn't exactly striking, is it? It's a
box,
black box.
It blends in, and like I guess a lot of people want it either black or white, depending on maybe they've got that sort of setup at home.
Do you know what I would really like? It'll never happen, but I would really like. So at the moment on my shelf, I've got a PS4 Pro and a original Xbox One sat next to each other, and they just look shit together. It's like, can you just you don't have to share schematics or anything. Just be like, look, we're going to make ours 20 centimeters wide. Can we all just agree on that? We all just stick to the same height and just go.
Yeah, that would be nice. Actually.
I could see him doing that. Sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, the original Xbox One looks dog shit anyway. I wasn't a massive fan of the
I don't mind the original Xbox One. It's
mate,
terrible,
honestly, I think it looks absolutely shocking. But the probably the X is one of my favourite looking consoles. Like I think it just looks
pretty good. Like the white S, I think looks pretty good.
Yeah, that looks okay. I think the X is absolutely stunning to look at, and that's just a little black box. So who knows? But yeah, I mean, again, we all understand that no one really gives a shit how these things look. It doesn't make that much of a difference, right? As long as it doesn't sound like a jet engine, then we're happy. But at the same time, when we look at it, we're going to tell you whether we think it looks shit or not. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, if Sony go for like a more mad design rather than this, because from PS2, most of the consoles have looked, there's definitely been a sort of design language that's sort of gone through all the consoles, I think, generally.
Yeah.
Whereas, obviously with new Xbox Series X, that's obviously a big drastic change. I love it if it's all the same from Sony. And I wonder maybe because they haven't seen the Series X first before they've seen PS5, if that's going to it's probably too late in the day for Sony to change their mind on things, but is that going to make them lean into doing things more crazy or stick to basics?
I really hope that it's exactly the same as a PS4 Pro, but with a fourth tier, and it's white.
I'll tell you what, I'll tell you what I liked about the new controller though is did you see the buttons and like the D-pad? They look like Vita ones, and I always thought they looked great. They would look like nice looking
They look
buttons.
great, but I didn't think they weren't. Yeah, okay. I mean, it's a minor thing, but they didn't feel that great to play with, did they?
Yeah, they did.
The Vita buttons were fine. It was the stick.
Oh, the Vita ones. Sorry, I'm going back to PSP.
That was horrendous.
Yeah,
I'm going back to PSP.
But looking at both the Dual Sense and the Xbox, the Series X controller, kind of makes me think, Series X is just literally the same with a share button, which is fine. It does the job really well. But I like the fact Sony thought let's just do something a bit different.
Yeah, but then again, does that not concern you? Because we all know that Microsoft are thinking, doesn't matter if you got a Series X, right? We're going to make sure that your library is supported, that games are going to be coming forward from last gen. This is their whole deal. Whereas if Sony are like, I would prefer...
That's all great, that idea. I think it's a great idea. It's really nice, good for gamers and stuff like that. But it does still bother me in the sense of innovation. Like what kind of innovation you're going to get in games over the next generation.
I still think we'll get innovation.
It'll be slower though.
I would prefer, but I prefer a slower sense of innovation. Right, games not looking quite as progressively excellent with each year that goes past. And not have this whole separate generation thing where unless you buy the brand new console straight away along with all your mates, then we're going to split you up. I'd rather that Xbox direction than we're not saying that Sony are going this way, but then the more traditional generation thing now.
It seems that Sony are doing a more traditional stuff, as long as bringing everyone's catalogue and library over to new gen. But there will be. It feels like. I mean, I feel sure I've used the actual words like generational leap, and they've used the word generations much more than Xbox. So I imagine there will be exclusive PS5 games you can't play in previous consoles, but the old ones work on PS5 as well.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is like I'm much more likely to buy a machine though that's going to offer me something that I just can't get on a previous generation. Do you see what I mean? This is the main thing that concerns me about the Xbox.
But that's what I'm saying. But then how is it? That's not really consumer friendly, is it?
Well, maybe not, but it's innovation friendly in terms of like driving things forward.
Well, what would you say the innovations have been through this gen?
It hasn't been a very innovative generation because the consoles have not been very good.
It's the live service stuff, isn't it?
It's live service stuff, and it's the ease of sharing things you've done or made or happened in games, isn't it?
And has that been down to power? Has that been down to raw power? It hasn't, is it?
I know, but exactly. But that's because these consoles from the beginning were weak anyway. And there was no way that things were going to be like that amazing over this period in terms of like CPU and like GPU stuff because they were rubbish. Like the consoles when they first came out, they were dated. It's it wasn't that great.
I mean, we're not 100% sure yet which way these two companies are going, but I'll tell you something. It's going to be, if they are wildly different, it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be a completely different type of battle than what happened with the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. For sure.
Yeah, I can totally get what you mean though, because like the 360 was amazing, and we all say, look, all we want for the new Xbox when we're waiting for the One was to just do a 362, just a basic 360 but more powerful. Everyone loves it. Xbox Live's great, Pad's great, and then they went different, and it sort of blew up in their faces.
Fucked them,
Whereas and PS4 was basically in my mind like. It was the Sony's version of the 360. It's like, okay, it's solid, everyone knows what they're doing. And now it feels actually like, oh, hang on, if Microsoft are just doing a more powerful console that plays all the same stuff with largely the same pad, that is less exciting. But yeah, it's basically what we wanted them to do this generation, but they went a bit different. So hopefully there's innovations elsewhere that isn't hamstrung, or held back.
I noticed that's not in the feedback, Matt. None of that's in the feedback, is it?
Is it not in the feedback?
No, none of it.
Well, I was going to mention it.
Interesting.
What am I going to add? Yeah, well, we'll cover it now. Yes, I said hammer strong instead of hamstrung.
I honestly didn't hear it at the time. Honestly didn't hear it.
And nor did I, to be fair.
I picked up on it and then got ridiculed, which was nice.
Well, I'm sorry, Trix. I am sorry.
This is why you should chill out with that shaky leg stuff, I reckon. You know what I mean? Should just chill out with the shaky leg stuff, mate.
Anyway,
okay,
that's consoles and that.
Fucking hell, he don't like it up him, does he?
Are you talking to me about shaky leg stuff or James?
You.
Oh right,
you're the one that kept going
shaky
legs, and then you come out with hammerstrung.
Oh right, yeah. Well,
Jesus, right, awkward.
I did not get that reference at all. And yeah, shaky leg. I was like, what does James do with his shaky legs? But. Yeah, it's...
Okay. Let's. I don't know what tactics you're playing here, Matt, but it's confusing the fuck out of me. Maybe that is the tactic, right?
Maybe it is David. Tom Clark.
Let's move
at
on.
Ray_Lennox on Twitter. Surprised Dave didn't like Doom. Actually, I'll change the tone. Surprised Dave didn't like Doom because he has to change weapons. It was built on what 2016 Doom did well and gave you more stuff to blow teams apart with. Platform bits a bit annoying, but broke up the insane pace of everything else. Seems like Dave isn't into anything hard.
Question mark.
I mean, I like Dark Souls. That was hard, wasn't it?
Yep.
That was an hard game.
Well, apparently not now,
no, it's
Dave.
not hard.
Everyone tells you, Dark Souls isn't actually hard. Fuck off.
Did I really say that my main criticism was that I had to change weapons? Was that what I was saying?
No, that wasn't what you said.
I think you just revealed yourself as being somebody that needs to get good at games, Dave.
Yes,
yeah, I think so.
Big time.
Actually, it's quite an interesting point because it's something that I've been reflecting on this week because I'm trying to work out why I bounced off of Doom, and I made a decision in another game this week that we'll get to where I knocked a game down to easy. And I think... I don't think it is difficulty because there are a lot of games that I've played that are extremely difficult that I've stuck with and I've played over and over again and beaten, like Celeste and Mario to some extent. Mario Odyssey towards the end of that was incredibly hard, and certainly getting the 999 moons. What was the other one I thought? Well, Dark Souls, obviously. And I think what it is, it's not so much hard games, it's games that what sort of doesn't click with me is games where you've got to fiddle around too much, like where you've got too much to do all at once. That doesn't really work with me. So
anything that's vaguely complicated, like changing a weapon, you're like, no.
Well, no. Changing weapon. No. That's vaguely complicated is fine, isn't it? Like switching weapons. Like, for example, this is the difference between Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. Doom 2016, you're changing weapon for each enemy type. Like you seem to have your own preferred weapon for each enemy type, and you would quickly switch your weapon on the fly to make sure that you're running into the right area to take down the right enemy. But when they added various different mods that only work for certain enemies for each weapon, plus the flamethrower, plus the sniping, like zooming in and picking off pieces of certain enemies, I was like, this was too much. I liked it when it was way more simplified, way more streamlined, and it was also very difficult, but it felt like I wasn't trying to think of too many things all at once. And I'll talk about that a little bit later as well, because it comes up. But I think that's maybe what it is. Like, I see what you're saying. It sounds like I'm going, this is too hard. Maybe that's not the right way of saying it. Maybe it's the right way of saying it is that this is just too much for me.
Well, yeah,
and there's too much going on here.
Because that game is all about speed as well, and like if they're adding so many elements that then that you're spending too long thinking about things and switching weapons and pissing about, that it starts to break the flow of it, then that's running contrary to something that the previous game did really well. So yeah, I can totally see what you mean.
If I'm thinking about the controller while I'm doing this stuff, I'm not enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's a problem for me. And
I'm surprised you got Red Dead Redemption 2 in that case.
Well, this is the difference, isn't it? When you're fighting in Red Dead Redemption, when the action's happening, where you've got to be quick, there's like 2 or 3 buttons to look at. You've got your aim, your shoot, and your red eye. That's it. The other complicated stuff comes within walking about or picking stuff up, or in social situations where you're talking to different NPCs and
trying
stuff
to
like
say hi to someone and accidentally blowing their head off. Or
yeah, but the point is that you're not under pressure in those moments when you're having to deal with the complications of that. And then soon enough, I learned those controls, and I think some people can learn those complicated controls and systems way quicker than I can, and it's not a problem for them. The important thing is to remember that this is my reaction to the game, and that's all that I can give you. I don't want to, I'm here to tell you what I thought about the game, and also have a pop at Matt and James and Sean every now and then. But the main reason is to tell you what I experienced with this game, and if you don't like that, go fuck yourself. Next feedback.
No, I do totally get what you mean. It just sounds like you're shit.
Fuck off, Matt.
Justin,
I thought you played Metroid. Fucking hell.
What's that, sorry?
You can't have a go at me for that. Or what am I going with? What do I do? Is it a shoot button? Is it... I'm back here again. I don't know what to... Great streams. Sunday nights.
Actually, bad streams. Justin at World Pounce on Twitter. On the last episode, Dave said how many years it was since Joypod ended. I've been saving the last episode until I completed The Walking Dead. I've just had a look, and it is indeed dated December 2012. Fuck it, life's too short. Go listen to it now. So
2012.
On the last episode Joypod, is it? As in like the Walking Dead spoiler cast? I presume that's it, right?
It wasn't 2012.
I was going to say, yeah,
the last episode wasn't 2012.
Yeah,
there must be an error on the thing, because I stopped about a month before Harry was born.
Yeah.
I think it was a Christmas show, so it was 2 months before Harry was born. Harry was born in 2014, so we stopped at the end of 2013. Then we did a one-off special, didn't we? Midway through 2014.
It was definitely 2013, because I remember doing the last show because I was in China doing it, and it was awful. Yeah, because of the quality.
Alex M9 UK. Parents have got a hot tip for a children's TV show that's not unbearably bad on Netflix. It's Archibald's Next Big Thing. I've also been watching this. It's actually co-written and voiced by Tony Hale, who's in Arrested Development.
Oh shit!
Yeah. So
is that the duck dude?
It's the guy, who's sort of like
Buster.
Yeah, Buster. Yeah, that's one. Yeah.
Who?
But Buster in Arrested Development.
Yeah, no, I've seen that. Yeah, it's the duck dude. It's a little duck dude. Yeah, we've watched that. It's good.
Yeah, it's great. It's good. Good. Archibald's Next Big Thing. Although I'm actually into Teen Titans at the moment. I mean, not me, but
I was going right. So the thing with Teen Titans is, I used to watch that like in my late teens. So that's weird that that's still going. And yeah.
Also,
the
other one on there is Cupcake and Dino's a good watch as well. That's quite fun.
Yeah.
That's a good show.
Anything from you, James?
Nope.
Okay, Stuart Baker. Hope you all had a great Easter. Not much to say, but thanks to Dave recommending that Half-Life VR video with the advanced NPCs. I'm watching Wayne Radio TV's YouTube uploads of them all week. They're amazing and really great. It really helps to improve work. Highly recommended. That's it for feedback. It's at ComputerGamePod on Twitter, or you can email podcast@thecomputergameshow.com.
Did you watch them, Matt?
No.
Those videos? Oh, they're fucking great, man.
Yeah.
Sure, did you not?
I haven't, but I do mean to, because several people have recommended them.
Again.
Need to do.
Yeah.
Oh, who else has recommended them, Sean? Joe Scrabbles?
Was it? I think it was Cammy.
Okay, go. I'll watch them. Yeah, I'll watch them this week, definitely.
Should we get on to news?
Go on then. Yeah.
No, you go on then.
Come on, I was just about to say. I was just trying to, build into it.
Let's us as a collective go on.
Let's all go on.
You ready to go on?
Yeah,
big time.
It's been a quiet week. In general, there's not really been a lot. But I've picked up a couple of things that I thought of interest. The first thing I
picked up a couple of things. Yeah. You went on Eurogamer this morning. Go on, let's not sugarcoat it.
Although actually, no, because this story I was aware of earlier than this, because it was all over Chinese internet, which was quite funny.
Oh, shit.
This is China has now banned the sale of Animal Crossing New Horizons in the country, and which is quite funny because what it is. Let me give you some background here. So it was never officially available to buy in China anyway. Like you couldn't it hadn't been officially released. Mm-hmm. There's only 5 officially launched games for the Switch. Do you want to know what they are?
5.
Okay.
No, let's try and guess. Right, so there's 5 officially released games.
Yeah.
For the Switch. Are they all Nintendo games?
Well, they're all published by Tencent in partnership with Nintendo, but they're not. Okay. 2 of them are not Nintendo developed games.
Right. Okay. So you'd have to say Mario would be one, right? Mario
Which
Odyssey.
One?
Odyssey.
Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, Mario Odyssey is one.
Okay.
One of them is that Assassin's Creed game because they mentioned the whole stream. You can stream it, can you, on Switch and.
No, that's Japan.
No, that's Japan.
Yeah.
All good there, Matt.
Damn.
Mario Party?
No.
Wow.
Ooh.
I'd love to know why not Mario Party.
I've got a list I'll tweet out later because it's fascinating. It's
a list of reasons why they're not.
No. There's a whole list of games that have been sent to the China's authorities for approval, and the status of whether they've been approved or not. And it's quite interesting because it's just I'll tweet it in a minute because it's got the whole list. It's yeah.
Okay, well we look forward to you tweeting that. So the way you said that Mario Kart 8.
Yeah, Mario Kart 8.
Right. Okay. So we've got 2 of the 5.
Is Zelda in there?
Zelda's. Yeah. No, I don't think
Zelda's not been approved. It's still waiting.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I don't think Zelda would be on there. Tetris 99.
Nope.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Captain Toad.
Nope.
No.
Okay. You might have to give us a list.
I probably just had to tell you. Yeah. It's New Super Mario Brothers U.
Okay.
Is the other one.
Oh, of course.
So that's the 3 Nintendo ones that have come out.
Okay.
And then 2 others. One is called Neon Abyss, which is a Chinese indie game. Yeah. And another one is called Iris Fall, which is also another Chinese game. It's not a
Irish Fall.
Yeah. I think you can get them on Steam. So they're they're those sorts of ones. So if you buy a Chinese Switch, not an imported one, you can also only log into your Nintendo account using a WeChat ID. So, a WeChat ID is pretty similar to Facebook or something like that. So, if you want to sign in, you have to do it through that.
Right.
This is because, the Switch has been released in China in partnership with Tencent, who own WeChat. So that's obviously why they're you've got to use our software. That's going to happen.
Can you hack it?
Well, no, not at the moment. You can't, as far as I know. But what you can do is you can buy games that are imported that are like card, like that are on the
Right,
cards.
you can play the cards on it, yeah. Because we know the Switch is region 3, isn't it?
Yeah. So so what you can do is you can buy from like Hong Kong or Taiwan or Japan or whatever, and they'll still work. So that's what people have been doing for Animal Crossing. Because a couple of like Chen's friends, a couple of our friends have bought the game, and they've been playing it like on Switch. But there's also other weird limitations for the Chinese version of the Switch. You can't share screenshots or videos to social media. You can save it, but you can't share it, and for obvious reasons they're going to become apparent. Also, like online games, you can't connect with accounts like outside of mainland China either. Like some, not all, but some of them you can't. It doesn't work. So what's happened here is that people have been importing Animal Crossing, but then the protest movement in Hong Kong has been using the game to spread messages online, and what they've been doing, this isn't obviously spreading it through the Switch, but through like Twitter and other social media. And the reason this has kind of blown up is also it's been spread onto like Chinese mainland social media as well. And all the messages are kind of like pro-independence, like anti-CCP and all that kind of stuff. And there's all like these, like people have like, they're like designing T-shirts that are like the protest T-shirts that are the same. They're putting like pictures of like Winnie the Pooh in the game, like pictures of Xi Jinping dying, the whole sort of thing. And so like Joshua Wong, he's like one of the key like people from like the democratic movement in Hong Kong. He said like, I play the game. I just bought it a few days ago. For lots of people around the world who play this game, they put their ideal life into the game. And for Hong Kongers, we have to put our protest movement and our protest sites inside the game. So the government obviously weren't very happy about this because it's like people are then on the mainland obviously seeing like these images that are like explaining that there's a protest movement going on, and they're like, why? People are aware of the protest movement, but they're generally against it because of like Chinese propaganda and everything. But what's happened is that then the government have now told Taobao and other online retailers that they're not allowed to sell the game anymore. So if you search for it online, like if you want to like buy games or import them, the easiest way to do it is through Taobao, which is kind of like eBay. Well, it's kind of, but not really. And but now that's all gone. Like you can't buy it from there. The main reason for this is because under Chinese law, like video games can't contain anything that they say threatens China's national unity, sovereignty, or territorial integrity. And also the games had to be published by a Chinese company so that then they can abide by the constitution. This is why obviously Nintendo have then gone into partnership with Tencent, because this is the only way they can get their games published is through like the Tencent partnership. And what I think is interesting about this is that, see, China doesn't do this for everything. They're not like totally just like any game that comes out, censor it because it's like, people are protesting or whatever like that. The main reason for this is because it got real traction on social media and people were sharing this stuff around, and that's when it becomes like more of a problem. If people hadn't been sharing like all these images, they wouldn't have cared. It wouldn't matter. It's nothing actually specifically to do with the game. It's the fact that people are using it as an outlet to explain alternative viewpoints, to their own. But this is my final bit from this. Taiwan had the absolute best response. So the Taiwanese government tweeted a picture of the game, and then, like in Chinese, but the text just read this. It said, "Taiwan will not censor a game where you pick up tree branches and grow turnips. Players feel free to make fun of the government. Democracy and freedom of speech are Taiwan's most important values. Everyone can use any medium to say what they want to say. Please, everyone cherish this lifestyle. Go ahead and play to your heart's content. You can troll, meme, make fun of us. No problem. But please, don't make jokes about the epidemic. Please cherish our Taiwan, a place where you can play video games freely." And then in connection with this, there's also been like tons of like really good pictures like shared of like this picture of like Tom Nook being like led away by the police. Just tons of stuff like that. It's fascinating, this whole thing. It's
You'd have thought, the only thing that I find strange about this story is that you'd have thought that the Chinese government would have looked at this game and gone, you can just write and draw your own thing and put it in the game. No, then. Like, surely that, would have been the red flag. No?
How do you mean?
Well, they must know that if you can customise anything in any game, the first thing they're going to do is stuff like this.
But then it was never officially available for release in mainland China, was it? I guess was the...
Yeah, exactly.
I see. So, so what is their? What have they done then? They've banned it, but it's
they banned people
just
from
continue
buying
to
it.
Buy it.
Well, no, they banned people from buying it. so you can't
People
buy
will
it.
just continue to buy it, though, right?
Well, they will, but you have to. Like I saw the other day, somebody was like, sellers are still listing it for sale, but under different names instead.
Right.
So people can buy it using like a different name. It's
Stardew Valley.
Yeah. But this is what this is the pettiness though, of how petty this gets and how sensitive they are about alternative versions of of stories and what's going on. It's incredible, and this is why you see something like this. It's just really interesting. I find it very interesting. That it's there's this sort of
Well,
this
I
level
just
of
find it
response.
scary. Honestly, I just find it scary more than interesting. It freaks the fuck out of me that there could be a place that just goes, no, you're not buying that because we said so. Or we don't like it.
We found out that you can draw pictures and send them to other people, and that's dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Because it's here, developers are obviously probably we got to stop people drawing dicks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How can we stop that? Whereas China, it's we've got to stop them talking about things that we don't want people
people
about.
Correctly
we don't
saying
mind
we're
the
shit.
dicks, but please no Winnie the Pooh. We are sick of Winnie the Pooh.
You mustn't mock us. Please do not mock us. It's just
that's fucked up, man.
It's kind of funny. But yeah, so that was one of the biggest stories from this week. The other one is that Stadia Pro is free for 2 months, and the free version is now also available.
This has annoyed me so much.
Why?
Oh, go on.
Well, it's a dangerous thing to start with, isn't it? The internet's under
because they've ballsed up all the messaging.
Well, yeah, okay, we'll get to that. But
it's not like them, is it?
Isn't it a tad irresponsible as well? Is that not coming to it? Because when I saw that for the first time, I just thought the internet is under so much strain at the moment, and I don't know how much of this has affected you guys, but literally here where I live, it just outside, it's like Greater London, so it's not too far in from the M25, but we're still quite a populated area. The internet is fucking dog shit at the moment.
Really?
Absolutely dog shit. Yeah, the fucking ping is just, it goes from really low to it's not even that low, it's gone lower, but I could check one time and it will say 12. And then the next, it will say 64 or 65. And you're like, fucking hell, man, this is just fluctuating. As I said, it's made Rocket League unplayable.
Really?
Because it turns out that game doesn't deal with a difference, a fluctuation in latency as well as other games do. That game does not deal with that. And it's practically been unplayable. But the strain the internet's been under is crazy, and then they're going, hey, that thing that just chugs up internet data?
Well,
Dave, get on this.
They've said that it's for that reason. They said, in response to what they call some of the most challenging times in recent memory, Phil Harrison said, video games can be a valuable way to socialise with friends and family when you're stuck at home. So we're giving gamers in 14 countries free access to Stadia for 2 months.
Plus no one's paying for it anyway, so different.
Yeah, well, that's true, isn't it? Yeah. Go on, Matt. What was your problem with the messaging?
They're obviously saying, given there's COVID stuff, it's challenging, and they mentioned about being isolated and social distance and stuff, and they said, 2 months free. But no, the message should be the free version of Stadia this is a launch. The free version of Stadia is out now. By the way, with that, everyone gets 2 months of Stadia Pro.
That is a really good point, because that second bit that the free version has actually launched completely escaped me. I just thought it was 2 months free on
the headlines, and even their own posts as basically 2 months 2 months of Stadia Pro for free starting today. No, it should be Stadia is free, but as a launch offer, everyone gets 2 months of the Pro version where you get a library of games. It's the whole by the way, free version of Stadia is out now has been totally lost. I mean, Sean didn't even know. It's I can't believe how the messaging is so bad.
I mean, also, does 9 games count a library? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I would say so. When I was a kid, that'd be mental.
Yeah.
Never got above 6.
I've got to say, so obviously when I heard the news, I was sneering at it because I don't really care about Stadia. However, in those games that you get for free, at least for the 2 months while it's free anyway. So SteamWorld Quest is in there, which I've been meaning to play, and is not, it's not a fast-paced game, so that'll be fine on Stadia. And Guilt's on there as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I want to try Guild. I want to try all of them really. I've signed up. I haven't. I've been playing Final Fantasy. I haven't actually tried this yet. But out of them, I really want to try Guild because I really like Tequila Works games, and I'll give others a go for sure. But yeah, I can't like the free version of Stadia is out now. This should be like a big promotion thing, but they're like they've hidden that behind the whole like Stadia's free for 2 months. It's like what? No, bad messaging, bad Google, sort it out.
There's also the other thing is that you have to make sure that you opt out, because if you don't, you'll be charged at the end of the 2 months.
Well, yeah,
but that's the same with every single thing on the planet. Yeah. So, any of you guys tried it this week?
Nah.
No.
I do intend to, but
yeah.
But Matt, what about the OS? You want to see?
Well, there isn't one, is there? Famously. Also,
is there still none? Have they added achievements and stuff in yet?
Don't know. I haven't played it.
Just given up caring about it. I remember when this was your life for a while.
Well, I mean, I signed in. I purchased or grabbed the games to my account, but I didn't actually click play on any of them. I don't know what the whole like controller situation is. I mean, obviously, I haven't got a Chromecast Ultra or any Chromecast for that matter. Don't have an Android device, but yeah. Anyway, I'm sure it'll be fine. But
that's true. I can get it on my because I've got a Samsung. They officially announced it's on Samsung as well, didn't they? So.
Yeah. So it says it games can be played on laptop, desktop, or Chrome OS tablet using compatible controller or keyboard thing, as long as they're HID compliant. It's also possible to play using Google Pixel or other supported Android devices.
Yes,
cool.
mate.
So I won't be able to play on mobile anyway, but yeah, I'll give it a go on desktop. It's really good of them actually. They've temporarily dropped the default screen resolution from 4K to 1080p. So you can still go to 4K apparently, but it will default to 1080p. At least, obviously, there's 2 months like Stadia Pro trial. Yeah. I mean, when I heard that news and other podcasts talking about it, I wanted to say, well, how many games are actually 4K anyway? You might say you might select 4K, but come on.
I really think they've blown it with this, like completely. I think this is never going to go anywhere.
I mean, even this is a free one, and they fucked this messaging up. Like this is an easy one, but it's hidden behind 2 months for free. Like. What is?
It's like the fact that for months the debate was just going to be like, is it going to work? Right? Is it going to be usable? What's the experience of using it going to be like? But I feel like we haven't even got to that point really, because everyone's just like, well, the library's crap. The games are like the same price as they are everywhere else. Oh, the library's not crap.
They don't run as well.
Well, yeah.
It is not a high-end PC.
No, absolutely not.
Well, it's been kind of like, I mean, everyone I've heard talk about, they're like, it kind of works, but there's not that many games, and I don't know. I think this is going to be like Google Plus. Like, it's going to be around for a long time, but no one will use it, and then slowly it will get like. It will disappear. It will become part of like YouTube gaming or something like that, and as like an option.
It's really strange because you're usually so optimistic about things. It's
not like you, James.
It's very unlike you, James.
Yeah. I mean, I guarantee, like in a week or two, there'll be another story like, oh yeah, this many thousands of people have signed up. It's like, yeah, because it's free and they're all going to bin it.
It's not again like Google Plus.
Yeah,
they named anybody that was using Gmail as being a Google Plus user.
I don't even think we're going to get that, Sean.
Do you reckon?
No, I mean. I don't even think we're going to get that. Look how many people signed up. Yeah, not that many actually. Really,
24,000. That's actually not.
There must be someone listening to this right now. One of our listeners who must be into Google Stadia. There's always people into anything. Like, if you're listening to this and you have got it and you enjoy it and you play it regularly, please email or tweet.
I'd love to hear that.
Because there is an audience for this, but you don't hear about it. But surely. There are people who bought it and love it, and they're happy with the games, and they're like, Stadia stands and stuff. But I don't know.
But that's the problem, though, isn't it? I mean, they should still be concerned about those people that don't like it or hate it or haven't signed up, because if they've put money into that library and it just gets shut down, then they've just been robbed of the fucking the money they've put into that system.
I'm sure say, look, well, everything you spent on that, we turn it into Google Play credit. Maybe that as well.
Yeah, think about all that stuff that you could have pirated, but now you can officially get.
Thing is, though, is after that, channel. Where does Phil Harrison go next?
Yeah, what can he fuck up next? Who's left?
Gaming Nintendo.
Oh,
let's
no.
go.
No.
Let's go.
Oh, I felt a bit panicky when you said that. Like in my chest. I thought, oh, no.
Maybe when Sega come back to the hardware business, he'll go to them.
Yeah, that'll work. I mean, it won't.
32X2. They will launch. Everyone will be loving it. Right, okay.
Like
next
Okay,
story.
so these next two are just sort of quick hit ones. We got, CG Projects have said that the next generation version of Cyberpunk is not going to be available at launch for the consoles. So it's not going to be. But although the Series X one will get a free upgrade when it is available. I mean, this is just another reason why the Xbox version is probably going to be the one to go for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because if you get that, then you don't got to think about buying it again or anything. And
got to think about buying it again.
It's confusing. It's a confusing piece. So so obviously there will be a full-blown next-gen version, but also the one that comes out will work on the consoles day one anyway, and I'd likely probably up-resed anyway, but they're also doing like a separate next-gen one, I guess. Is that what you're reading into?
No. By the sounds of it, they're saying that there will be a PS4 version which won't play on the PS5.
No. But that can't be the case because, well, if you talk Xbox at least, every game works on everything. So I can buy the Xbox One version and it'll run on Series X, but it'll probably be up-resed a bit, I would imagine, but it won't be the proper bells and whistles next gen one. Okay.
And
that's
it'll be the same
I'm saying
for
is
PS4.
the
Like
difference
the PS4 version will work on the PS5 as well, but it just won't be
Yes, it will,
that
but
good.
it won't. But when they bring out the PS5 version of that, will that be?
You get an upgrade to the true PS5
You'd have to buy it again.
Yeah, but if Series X comes through for free. Yeah. I mean, okay. I mean, did many people expect it to be a launch thing for?
I think so. I think when it got moved towards the end of the year, you'd expect them to. It just, if anything, it says to me that actually there's way more work involved in making it look nicer for the next gen console.
I was just thinking that because obviously they'll be developing this for PC primarily and then getting it to work on the consoles, I would have thought. Just because of where we are in terms of console generations and stuff. But obviously it's not as simple as like, just turn the sliders up for the PS5 and Series X.
I'm starting to think that maybe we don't know much about development.
It's taken us 3-4 years, but we're figuring that out now.
But I also think it's also like I guess it's like a bit of a PR thing as well. Like, okay, so this is due to come out in September. If consoles come out in say October, November, they can't then say, hey, a game you bought 2 months ago, here's another one for £50 on it's better on PS5. So
true.
I think actually they would probably leave it 6 months anyway, even if it was ready, because it just seems mad to release like another one so soon.
Like if they're going to release the current gen version, they can't be like, oh, by the way, in another month there'll be a better one.
Exactly, yeah, it'd be insane. So.
No, but we've had that before, haven't we? I'm pretty confident we've had that before, where a game has come out and launched on the older system, and then been a launch game for the. I think wasn't Black Flag like that?
Yeah, I mean, Grand Theft Auto 5 was. It wasn't a launch title,
but it was a longer
close.
time. Yeah, that was like 6 or 7 months, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even longer. But no, we've definitely had that situation where people are like, no, I'm getting it on the new consoles when it comes out.
Okay.
So I think the difference here is that. You don't have to worry about that. Well, we don't know what will happen by the end of the year. They might work something out with Sony that if you buy that game, you'll get the upgraded version on PS5 anyway. I think if Microsoft are offering that, which we know by what they've said about those games in the past that they probably will.
Sony they will.
Sony would cut.
Sony
would cut a deal to do the same thing.
They have done it before. I mean, Sony had cross-buy, didn't they, for like a long time?
Yeah.
Where if you bought like Vita games or
that was
games.
so weird, right? So I think it was Amplitude.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted a free, they gave away Amplitude on the PS3.
PS3,
I think.
and then it was cross-buy, so you got it for PS4.
But then they made it cross-buy, but then they also made it available for the PS4. But to buy it, you had to log into an old account, go to the PS3 store, buy it, then go to the Vita store, buy it, and then it would work on the PS4. And I think it cost about 20p.
I just went to the PS4 store and bought it on the web.
No.
And
Yeah, but you could buy it for the PS4. Yeah, but if you wanted this free version, you had to go through this really tricky system of buying it on 2 different like outdated stores, and then it was just available on the PS4 through cross-buy or something. I can't remember how it was done, but it was. I remember doing that. Anyway, I've got Amplitude on the PS4, so I ain't moaning. Go on. Anything else?
Also, Capcom is now working on a Resident Evil 4 remake, although it's not actually Capcom. It's being done by M2, who are a new studio that was from its former Platinum Games head, Tatsuya Minami, is like doing it. And apparently,
is that worrying? Wouldn't you want the Resident Evil 2 people working on this? Or am I wrong?
I don't know. I mean,
they've done an excellent.
Yeah, I mean, Resident Evil 4 was quite different, wasn't it?
It was.
But then, yeah. So, do you want a team that has proven that they can do a really good modern vision of an old like a traditional Resident Evil game, or like does that translate to then also doing a modern version of Resident Evil 4, or do you need a different team who have a better understanding of what made Resident Evil 4 cool separately from the traditional ones? Do you know what I mean?
Well, the question is, do they do a completely reimagining of that game, or do they just make a smarter version of that game?
Yeah.
Do they do a Resident Evil 2, or do they do? Try to think of a game that was better when they tarted it up a bit. You know what I mean? Do they make it look nicer, frame by frame?
Yeah. I mean, the remake is a pretty substantial change.
But that's what I'm saying. You're going from PS1, it was a completely different style of game. Whereas I don't think they would make Resident Evil 4 a completely different style of game, but would they rework it from the ground up? No, that's the wrong way of saying it. What I'm saying is, do they take elements of Resident Evil 4 and build a new game around it, or do they just do like a shot by shot, just a smarter looking version of it?
Yeah.
It's going to be weird because that game did have the whole no walking and shooting thing, didn't it?
Yeah.
And that'd be a bit jarring these days. But
then I mean, people found that jarring at the time, though.
Like did with Resi 2.
They really did. Yeah. They really did.
So maybe it
felt right for that game, but I think but even more time has passed, Sean.
True.
Since that, it's crazy.
Yeah, there's no way that'll still be in there because they've obviously changed that for like Resi 2 and stuff, and that works really well.
Yeah, but then people will argue that was a big portion of why that game was so good.
Because it will change the pacing, won't it, in a big way if you get rid of that sort of thing.
It was the tension. Part of that was that you had to plant your feet, stand, take aim, and shoot. And if you take that away, like that whole thing about that game, it becomes less.
Well, I mean, how it's not there. Resi 2 is a similar. So Resi 2, you can walk and shoot, but it sort of makes you want to stand still because that's when you get better accuracy and a better chance at a better shot. So I imagine they'll do the same thing here, whereby it will basically essentially force you into do the other way if you want the accuracy and the powerful sort of rounds to go off. So yeah. I mean, it works really well in Resident Evil 2. So this isn't confirmed, is it? This is just a report, like a rumour at the moment?
Well, I mean, they say they've been preparing for it since 2018, and that also Shinji Mikami was asked if he wanted to be involved, with doing it, but then he said no, but then he's still going to provide advice. But also, the company were involved with Resident Evil 3 as well, like with the remake. But also, I mean, this article, because this is from the Video Games Chronicle, they said that Capcom would still be offering a lot of assistance for this. Like, it's not just them going off on their own doing it, and that would be it. But yeah,
well, they'd have to. They'd have to, because if the first whiff of it's shit comes out, then
they can't afford that with this.
It's a sacred game, isn't it, to a lot of people?
Yeah. I mean, well, when I first, obviously, we've had loads of Resident Evil or remakes. Most recently, Resident Evil 3, and that's like, okay, they come out and they've been good or less than good in some cases. But with this, I'm like, do we need to redo Resident Evil 4? It's like such an amazing game, and it feels almost like too soon. It's come out on like other consoles since, but it has been a long time since I played it.
I know what you mean. I mean, it was straight after fucking Resi 3 come out. So yeah, I kind of agree with you. I mean, it does seem way too soon, but
I'd rather still see Code Veronica rather than this, because that hasn't been redone like ever. Like nothing's really
stands
been done
more
with
to
that.
gain from a remake, doesn't it? Whereas most people will argue that I haven't revisited 4 in a long time. I gather it still stands up pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I remember playing on, I guess, it was a GameCube. Yeah, it was amazing.
Oh, man, it was one of the first import games that I bought. So easy to use that region-free disc on that machine.
Freeloader, wasn't it?
Yeah. A friend of ours had it. Do you remember Outspace?
Yeah.
Lovely guy. I went round his place and I remember him getting this disc out and putting it in his GameCube, and I'm thinking, what the fuck is that? And he was like, oh no, it just lets you play like American and Japanese games. And I was like, okay, fine, but why would I want to do that? Right? And then he showed me Resident Evil 4, and I was like, oh my god, this is next level. Like, I want to play this now. I don't want to wait for it to come out.
I had a similar thing, but it was Animal Crossing.
I was going to say, the Australian version.
Okay, I mean, I certainly think that I've got the cooler first experience. But no, jokes aside, it was, so I ordered that game and I completed it before it came out over here, and it was just felt so special. But that was the only time I ever used that fucking disc. I think I've still got it somewhere. Anyway, that was just a little trip down memory lane. Let's go to the next news story.
Yeah, are you going to cover the Resident Evil 8 stuff, James?
We did that a couple of weeks ago, Matt.
Oh, did we?
Yep.
Keep up, Matt.
Well, but this story only came out on the 4th of April, so did we cover it last week?
The Resident Evil 8 stuff was a couple of weeks ago. There's already
but the whole
that.
stuff about like serious. Okay, it doesn't matter.
Serious changes. We've already talked about it, Matt.
Okay.
It's like Midsummer. Apparently.
Go on, James. He stood up for himself in the right way.
I'm proud of you, James. Well done.
Yeah, previous weeks you've gone no, but this time you were like, no. Here we go. Finger on the table. Let's stare him in the eyes. Watch him sit back down and crack on with the news. Go on, James.
That's it. That's the news is over.
Okay, right. That's the end of the news. Should we get straight into the Final Fantasy VII chat?
Yes.
So we've all been playing it. James, have you been playing it?
I've not played it, no.
James not played it. I'm about. Well, last time I looked at the clock, I'm 9 hours in. Sean,
I think I'm just behind you, aren't I? I can't remember. I don't know where I'm in terms of hours, but I know I've told you where I'm up to.
I played a little bit more, I think. Have you done the bike stuff yet?
Yes.
Right, okay. But you're shortly after that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a little bit we're not too far away from each other. Mm-hmm. Matt,
I've absolutely hammered it. I'm 36 hours in now.
Whoa, fucking hell!
And I'm
Where are you finding the time?
I have been up till about 3:30 for the last 3 nights in a row.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I thought I was back because I texted Dave about 1:30 last night.
I saw you online. Yeah.
Thought
I
was misbehaving.
No, so I've absolutely hammered it. 36 hours in. I haven't finished it, obviously, but I've still.
Let's start with Matt. Like, what have because you didn't really have many impressions to go on last week, but I'm curious to hear how that's evolved.
Yeah, so last week when I spoke, I was only like 4 and a bit hours in, and it's complicated really. So yeah, as I said, last week's my first time playing Final Fantasy VII. I'd played a little tiny bit of Final Fantasy VIII like years ago, but basically, I can't remember a single thing about it. This is for me my first ever Final Fantasy game, and on the whole, I absolutely love it so far. Like I said, I haven't finished it. I think I'm like 2/3 of the way through, but or maybe 75% of the way through. Anyway, but it is fantastic in so many ways, and it's also convoluted and like fiddly in other ways, and I've got a lot of questions for people who have actually played this before and played the original.
I think some of this stuff might be because it's funny. I've been talking to James about it, and I've had a few questions, and I think James has had some good response based on the JRPGs that he's played in the past. So he might be able to help you more than you think. So I mean, what are your queries?
I'll get to queries in a minute, but I'll cover some thoughts first because I think it would be mad for me to just go straight into that stuff. But yeah, basically, it looks absolutely stunning. We've mostly it goes from looking stunning to looking like a last gen game for me.
It's the textures, isn't it?
I mean, basically, I'm still waiting for that texture to load on that door of your first apartment now.
Yeah.
But even later on, like textures just don't load, or when they do, some look really out of place.
It's really strange, isn't it? Because you can see like, we're sort of quite used to this in games. Whereas if you're sprinting around a busy area, things might. There's sort of a level of detail thing going on where it looks a bit blurry, but then give it 2 seconds and, oh, look, it's sharpened up, that's fine. And it's like you say, it's like your eyes are waiting for that to happen with certain textures and stuff. And it's not even things that they might think, oh, well, the player's not really going to look at that. It's like you say, it's the door to your fucking apartment. It looks awful. So it's just really strange that stuff like that snuck through.
But on the whole, like graphically, I think it looks amazing. I think as I covered in last week's show, like your main party, they all look great. Side missions, the characters look awful again. Like it's like the mouths. The mouth is the only thing that's really moving on their face. It looks really weird. But on the whole, the game looks stunning, and there's been loads of bits. So I had to take a screenshot and stuff just to go through it. The music is absolutely amazing as well. And I'd love to know, for people who play the original, how much this. I mean, I'm never going to know because I haven't played the original, but how many of these are cool like remixes or have cool musical themes?
Oh, man, have you not watched any old gameplay footage?
No, I want to, but I didn't want to do it until after I finish this.
Okay.
I went straight after I did the whole intro thing. I went straight on and watched that intro in the old Final Fantasy VII. Mm-hmm. Basically. Yeah, the music is pretty much bang on from that game.
Yep.
One of my favourite things about this remake is the music. Like, I think it's stunning. Like, I love how the music. I just love everything about the soundtrack. To be honest with you, it's really fucking good.
Yeah, it's tremendous throughout, basically.
But a hell of a lot of it is based on the original music from the game for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, it's tremendous throughout, but there's also strange things in this. So basically, there's bits where you go to certain locations and basically tracks will play in a loop, regardless of really what you're doing. Like there's one particular section of the game where you go to the same location a few times to go through it or to do missions and stuff, and a particular song or songs that sound very similar play. Now, it doesn't matter whether you're talking to someone else or you're stopped or there's a cutscene or you're battling, that same track just playing over and over and over. Sometimes it feels like, although I've loved the music throughout, it sort of feels like it doesn't really like convey the atmosphere in certain situations. When situations change, it just carries on in the background. But there's some absolutely banging tracks later on, like some which wouldn't be out of place on like Res or like Tetris Effect soundtracks.
Yeah, it's been changing up quite a bit. It goes from like epic sort of fantasy music to like neon, that sort of synthy, stuff that you'd expect to hear in Mass Effect. Like it seems to switch genres quite often, but always seems to nail it for me. It sounds so good. Although I would say that the sound is not always spot on. One of the biggest issues I've got with the audio of this game is like, if I know you're trying to do a hustling, bustling city, right? And I get that. But when the main characters are talking, I don't need to hear 40 citizens just like chatting away in the background.
It's like you say, it doesn't sound like the general. It doesn't sound like general crowd noise. It's like people barking the same shit.
Yeah, it's the same volume as you. Like there's been people saying, like, "How is that?" Someone talking to me it's nice that on the left hand side of the screen you get basically like subtitles, so you can read what other people are saying to you, or other people like incidental dialogue as you pass through towns and stuff.
But even that's distracting because you've got subtitles along the bottom, then just scrolling along the side, and it's kind of like, well, this is too much.
And it does that thing. I'm aware I'm sounding like I'm slagging it off. That'll change in a bit. But the way it does that thing of like. It's like, oh yeah, like everyone's reacting to stuff you've done. It's like, no, I literally killed a wolf. And then the second I get back to town, everyone's going, apparently some guy killed the wolf. And you're like, right, that's not exactly subtle. But
I know. The only thing that I'll say to that is this game is so camp, I think is the right way of describing it. That stuff just does not bother me. In fact, it makes me laugh. I think the greatest example of that is, and we will talk about the opening, the intro stuff, anything up to the first time that you leave the slums, I think is fair game by now. Yeah. But there's a scene where Barrett you've just blown up the reactor, and you have that whole scene where you realise that actually you've destroyed the city that's around the reactor, and you've ruined countless lives. And it portrays that so well because there are so many NPCs running around screaming, talking about it, talking about how this has affected their life. You get to the train station, people panicking because they want to get home and see their families, but they're worried that the trains are going to shut down because of this massive explosion and stuff. And it really gets you. It reminded me, there's tons of scenes like this. At the start of Shadow of the Tomb Raider, there's a very similar moment where you call something and then you're walking through the town, and it didn't work anywhere near as well as it does in this game. And that's because they've got the power of having so many citizens and characters in this that you feel the scale of it way more than you do in other games. You know what I mean? It really does feel like there's thousands of people around you that are devastated by the events that have taken place. But my favourite bit is when you're on a train on the way home, everyone's in like suits, ties, t-shirts, jeans, and then on walks Barrett with like a gun for an arm and like army dog tags, and he overhears someone going, "Oh, these terrorists that did this, they're an absolute disgrace." And he's going, "Well, no, I think they're great, actually."
Nothing to do with me.
You actually support them? Yeah, I do. I'm like, it doesn't take a rocket science to go, you're one of the terrorists, aren't you?
Yeah, you've
literally got a Gatling gun.
We're just commuting.
Yeah. It was, but that, I quite like that about this game because it is silly. And I think there's a lot of silliness in this game, and one of them is where you go off and do a little mission where you kill some rats or whatever, and then you come back and everyone's like, "Did you hear about that guy killing the rats?" And it's just like instant. That sort of stuff just makes me smile and makes me roll my eyes.
Yeah, and it goes so ridiculously silly. Like, but I've loved it more for that. It goes absolutely mental. I mean, it definitely feels like it goes very, very Yakuza in a later chapter. So I having about you, James, I'm sure you're going to love it. I mean, I haven't played a lot of Yakuza games, but from what I've seen, this basically does that, which is absolutely fantastic. It's just so good.
Is Final Fantasy VII, Sean, known for its humour and its
surprisingly,
silliness?
It was always one of those. I don't know if like the original Japanese version was particularly funny, but I know there's a lot of bits where people are like, because Cloud is often, people talk about him as he's one of those sort of stoic, quiet heroes with a murky past, etc.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, no, if you actually look at the sum total of the game's dialogue, he's actually quite funny, and he's like, there's some really silly bits in it. So yeah, and that stuff has definitely survived.
One other question about the original: was the original game this horny?
Oh, man, I was going to use that word because it fucking is, isn't it? Jesus Christ,
it is insane. I mean, everyone is just incredibly thirsty for everything. It's like, and people are catcalling either Cloud or the women in the party that I'm going around town.
Matt's got a little bit of a crush on Tifa, haven't you, Matt?
I mean, everyone in this game is very incredibly attractive.
I mean, Tifa is basically like the male gaze stuff is pretty off the charts. It's like the amount of time that, like, yes, your face is on screen, but they always get her chest in as well, don't they?
Yeah, but it's the same with everyone. What about that? The boss of one of the corporations or whatever it's called. She goes on this news interview and she's just completely inappropriately dressed. In fact, actually, it's not one. I suppose it is one of the complaints that I've got with the game is that at this point, some of the characters are so one note. And there are so many characters doing very similar things that it does get a little bit grating. Like it really does show how far, I think, anyway. And I'm talking as someone that is not. I suppose, how do I put this? Is not as in touch with these issues because I can't be right. But it does show you how weird it is now to have a game full of women that fawn over you. that are just like, swooning at everything you say and stuff, and you think this is just a bit weird, to be honest.
And it's so full on.
But then Cloud, like as a character, like does have a lot of, a lot of women are into him, and a lot, dudes as well. Like he is a bit of a heartthrob.
But it wouldn't be so bad if there was a female character that didn't want to just
that's true.
Like,
just
jump
one
on him
would
the
be
moment
nice.
she meets him. Just it's crazy. And then, as I said to you in a week, Sean, like I find this with a lot of the Japanese developed games that I've played over the years. If there's a fat character, he's stupid, and he always talks about how hungry he is and how and how much he loves food. Yeah. It's like constant.
Really bad.
The moment I saw, what's the guy's name?
Is it Wedge or Biggs? I forget.
Wedge. Wedge. It's definitely Wedge. When you meet, the moment I saw Wedge, I went, I know your character.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're going to be talking about. Yeah. Are we going to your mum's for pizza? I just want some more pizza.
Oh, we've got to do a mission. Okay, but I haven't had dinner yet.
Yeah, boy. I'm just like, why is this? Why the only fat character in the game, and that's what it is. That stuff is real kind of like, I'm glad that a lot of games have moved on from this, to be honest with you. It really does show you how weird that stuff is now. But I mean, I don't know how in keeping that is to the original. I assume it's quite close.
I can't remember how much they feature in the original. There is a ton of stuff that is new in this, like significantly so.
Yeah.
So the bombing of the power plant at the start. So yeah, I mean, again, this is really early on, so it's not really a spoiler. And if you're not played it, it's an interesting example of things that have changed. So in the original, the bomb goes off, and there's a comment about like, some Shinra workers might have been killed, but they work for Shinra, so whatever. And so basically, the whole thing in the remake, Shinra make the explosion worse, don't they? Like the bomb goes off and it disables the reactor, and then they basically blow it up themselves and sacrifice it, and that's what creates this whole situation Dave was talking about, where like the city, big area of the city is like really quite trashed. But you don't, as the characters don't know that, they think they did it, and obviously the idea is it portrays them as much more hardcore terrorists than they actually are. They're nice terrorists.
That's what my question last week. I was like, well, I didn't want to say much. I'm like, why have they done this? Like, are these supposed to be good guys or bad guys? They've blown this thing up and loads of people are dead.
Oh man, I find that way more interesting.
Well, that's it. I think it's an interesting way of doing it.
I thought it was really well done in this. Yeah. Like, I genuinely, when I come out of the reactor and I saw everyone be devastated, standing at that train station, and then you see, and then when you arrive at the other sector and you walk off and you see people running to hug their families because they knew that they were in that sector when the reactor blew up. I thought that was fucking fantastic.
Yeah, it was really well done. Really well done. Rather shocking.
And it was a really nice bit of conflict for the player, because, like you say, you're walking through it thinking, well, I as the player know that we, like, obviously this is sort of our fault, but not really. But no one knows that, and like for sure. And then you've got characters in your party being like, surely this wasn't just us, and then others being like, well, I suppose it could have been, like a chain reaction of explosions or whatever, and none of them really knowing. But then you've got Barrett, who's just like, fuck it, doesn't matter. Like, it's worth it for the cause, which is a bit...
We've got to save the planet.
Yeah, and it
evolves that quite quickly as well. I mean, you're not there yet, Sean, but it does evolve that quite quickly, and the way it does that is very good as well. It's... Yeah, there's a hell of a lot of conflict going on.
Yeah.
And I love that stuff. Sorry, Matt, before I take over, what else did you have?
I mean, I've got like niggly things. I think the side quests are basically pointless. You basically go to a place, you might talk to someone, it's like it's poorly voice acted, or I think Andy Kelly or someone on Twitter said basically like, and none of them sound like genuine people in that situation. They all sound like professional voice actors who have done a voice of someone.
Yeah, that's true.
And basically, you go to someone, they're like, "Oh, I've lost a thing." You go somewhere, you kill stuff, you come back. They're just largely pointless. I'm really only doing them to help with upgrades and stuff. And I've done all of them, apart from one, which I must have missed one in like chapter 1 or 2 whenever you get that first set of side missions, because I was like, I just wanted to get on a story, and I didn't realise you couldn't
find the cats, Matt. Did you not find those cats?
I did that one. I basically just one of them. It said I failed, but I didn't realise I couldn't not go back. But everyone I've seen since I've done, not because I'm like, oh, the side missions are so great and the story is brilliant. It's not that at all. It's really just I'm like, well, I'm going to increase experience and level up and stuff. So side quests are largely pointless, and like some of the ones I've done in a recent chapter go on for forever, and they're really there's one in the Slayer chapter where there's like a bunch of them, and actually so they sort of go into each other, and you might get something you need for one side mission and another one, and so you need to do all of them. You can't just do one because they all sort of interconnect. And like I was doing like side missions like 3 or 4 hours alone.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, so I think they're largely pointless, and it feels like there's a lot of padding going back to previous areas, going through the same areas. Maybe there's a boss there now that wasn't there previously. Other things happen later which make it a little bit easier, but I think there's a lot of padding. And again, I'd be fascinated to know I'd love to know what the padding bits are, what the new bits are compared to how it was before. So in the original game, like Midgar, which is this whole game, and I guess Remake parts 2, 3, 4, whatever the other bits are, how long does the whole Midgar section last in the original game?
I don't think it's even all of disc 1 out of 4.
Oh wow! Okay, right.
Yeah,
it's pretty short.
So you do wonder if they put like so much resource into, like, because it's beautiful, like it looks incredible. Like so much resource into creating Midgar, and then gone, right, we need to rinse an entire 40-hour game out of this because
I think it is a shame that, I mean, maybe you do, but it is a shame if you don't get to see Midgar from a distance within this game, because you look at inside the whole concept of the place and the look of it is so stunning that I want to see that in a desert far away off in the distance at some point. Like I really want to see what that looks like. And I'm really excited outside of Midgar.
You don't know what happens. And I say, my memories of the game are sketchy, but there is a pretty major event, and I don't know if it's in this bit of the remake or not.
I've heard that they've changed things quite a lot.
Okay,
so I've heard that. Yeah. But again, I haven't played the original, so I'm not going to know really what I changed until I read afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that my focus has been on that. I mean, after I've had a gaming session or whatever, I'm quite interested to find out how much has changed, but I can't say that I'm that bothered about what they've changed at this point.
I don't think it matters a huge amount.
Because I've never experienced it.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I'm definitely less bothered now than I was like this time last week, and I was like, what's it going to be like, and am I missing out? I'm way less bothered now, and I'm just like enjoying the game for what it is. So I think last week I was a bit like, I don't know, I feel like I'm missing out, or I feel like I'm watching the third film in a trilogy and I haven't seen the first two. Yeah, I haven't really thought about that. Well, I thought about it a little bit, but it has not been the primary, a primary sort of focus of mine. I'm just been enjoying it. So I might have to name. Basically, like, Chapter 9 is one of the best bits of a game I played in ages. It's of a prominent location which was in the original. I guess I'm not going to say it. I don't want to ruin it, but maybe I shouldn't say anything. It doesn't matter. Basically, Chapter 9 is absolutely amazing. Just I can't wait to talk to people about it. It's just absolutely fantastic from start to finish. Like the boss fights, the area you go to is really fun. The music. All sorts of stuff. It's absolutely amazing, and combat. Finally, I'll end on this. It's way more advanced than I thought. And now last week I said, okay, you can basically just button mash. Now, although that does seem like that's the case initially, like it's so much deeper. Like there are like elemental things where like enemies have weak points as well. So you might focus on left arm or right arm, and that and if you attack them first rather than like say the boss, then that will like stop them moving around and stop them attacking you. There's there's like weak points. If you focus on them, you can stagger them, and when they're staggered, you then get to do massive damage to them. You can like summon. You have like certain like summoning.
Those summons, man, fucking
material.
hell.
Oh yeah, they're absolutely amazing. To see them, yeah. So it's awesome. Once you've hit what I guess. It's only certain bosses. It seems to have summoning. It's not every single boss, but certain. massive bosses.
Yeah, no, it's certain yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of them, but it's not every boss basically. Yeah, and then you a summoning bar will appear, and then like depending on what summon material you have on you, basically an amazing sort of ally will enter your party.
Did we all start with the devil guy?
Yeah.
Ifrit. I believe that's probably the first one. Yeah.
Oh god, it's so fucking good.
Yeah,
when he shows up,
what's really cool
his moves and everything
is like Dave, you saying that is just great because like that's a series tradition with Final Fantasy. Is that the summons are always like every time there's new Final Fantasy, it's like what do the fucking summons look like? Come on, like because they're always stunning.
Are they different every time?
Are they? How do you mean? Sorry.
Like, do they cross over? Do you get that demon, like that devil guy? Is he in like a bunch of them?
Yeah, so they use the same sort of pantheon of gods. So yeah, Ifrit's always the fire guy, and then there's there's a bunch of others. But yeah, it's like every time a new one comes out, it's like fans are excited to see what they've done with the summons this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they're still impressive now. And as someone who hasn't played the series before, I think they're amazing. I've absolutely loved them. Every time I get excited to see, even if it's one I've seen before. Like I mean, like that devil guy, I've seen like countless times now, but still like, come on, let's absolutely wreck shit. I'll stop talking now. But basically, although it's easy to pick sort of holes in elements, I've absolutely loved it so far. I haven't wanted to stop playing it whatsoever. I did 1.4, or maybe if I absolutely hammer it, I can get it done before the pod. There's absolutely no chance. I feel like I'm sort of I'm quite slow with it. I'm playing on regular difficulty, and there's been some bosses where I have had to like redo them. There's been some bosses where I've like massively struggled. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna die and like regroup, because one of my issues actually is if you go into like a boss battle and it actually turns out that this boss is like weak to fire or to wind or lightning, but you don't have that materia selected and you can't switch materia in a boss battle. So sometimes I'm like, well, that's a bit annoying. So I really can't really do what I need to do.
Annoying.
I guess I have to like die. Well, I'll give it a go, but essentially I'm just gonna wait till I die, and then you're able to like essentially go back just before that, so they can switch all your materia. Like that's like, I'm not sure if that's a Final Fantasy thing or a quality of life thing, but like it's just a bit annoying. I'm plonked into a boss battle, and I'm like, well, I can't even switch out the materia.
This sort of leads into where I'm at, I think, because with the combat, I've really sort of battled with this over the past week. I keep switching between normal and easy. Like I've switched it constantly. And the reason being is that I love the combat. I think it is so well done. I love the fact that you can, like, I'm now into the point where I'm chaining things together and switching between characters, and so like in the space of a millisecond within real time of the battle, I've set 3 characters off, all doing special moves at different times, like all at the same time and stuff like that. I'm chaining shit. And I love that element of it alongside the sort of hack and slash stuff. The issue that I've got is not so much a difficulty because, when I have died, it's not been too bad. It's been quite early and I've just redone it or whatever. It's been fine. It's the length of the battles that I'm sort of getting a little bit frustrated with. So when I think the fault of getting right the way through a boss battle and running out of items and then dying and having to do it all again is just enough for me to go, actually, if I want to see this through to the end, I'm probably going to keep it on easy. But then there are times...
I mean, that's never happened to me. I've never run out of items during a battle.
No, but as you say, that
it can happen, though, that sort of thing. Like, JRPGs are famous for this sort of stuff, and it can be... Like, this is one of the things that I always hated when I played Final Fantasy games before, is, like, you can go through, like, horrendous battles that take ages to get through, and then you can die, and then it can end up having to do everything again, and it's very, very frustrating.
I don't want that, because that'll just make me go, nah, all right, I'm not going to... once I've got that in my head that I don't want to turn it back on and do that thing again, I'm not going to turn it back on and do that thing again, and then I'm not going to get through it. And it just kind of makes me think, this is, again, a fact that, like, I fully appreciate people that like that challenge and like that satisfaction of getting through it. For me, it just doesn't click with me. And going back to the stuff we were saying about Doom and the fiddly stuff, it's not fiddly. I don't find this game fiddly to control at all. But there are so many elements that I'm trying to keep my mind on during a fight that I kind of think if I do get to the end, I'm going to be frustrated that I just didn't choose the right options during that battle. Like, so when you go into a battle and say you've got a party of 3, you've got to keep your eye on your magic meter. You've got to keep an eye on your health meter. Then you've got to keep an eye on what elements you're using and at what time. And then you've got to keep enough. So that white bar, what's the technical name for that?
The
white
the
bar
ATB
that's segmented. Right, yeah. So if that's at 0, you can't do shit. Right,
yeah.
But then you build it up in elements, and then if you build it up to 3 segments, then you can fire off 3 things at once and all that sort of stuff. So you got that risk reward thing. But there was so many things to try and keep my mind on that I would, if I did die in a fight, which I did early on in the game, I lost to that scorpion battle, which was weird because I found it like way easier in the demo we played at EGX.
That's weird because like. In the demo EGX, I did fine. In the demo that came out on the console, I got destroyed, and in the actual game, I went through it fine. But maybe I wasn't concentrating much.
So
in the demo.
I got to the point where I was kind of like, how much of that is my mistakes, and how much is that of me failing to, which is still my mistake, granted, but me failing to keep up with the insane amount of bars that I've got to keep my eye on during this fight, and maybe I should have switched to that character at that point. And I just thought, this is too much. So I found myself slightly disappointed that I haven't had those long battling challenges, right? But also really satisfied that I am smashing the shit out of everything. When I switch it on easy, also really satisfied that I'm smashing the shit out of everything, and I'm seeing everything in the battle as well. You know, I'm seeing all the summons, the special moves, the spells, and all that sort of stuff. I'm not having to go into my items constantly and health up. So when I'm playing this game,
that's so different to me.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. So as I'm going through this game, there's moments where I'm going, I missed that challenge. I missed the struggle for sure. So I'll switch it back to normal. And then I'll go, actually, this battle is just a battle with me and 4 or 5 guys. And this is just like a side thing. Do I really want to spend 10 minutes on this battle? Or should I get through it and get to the next bit of the game is what I'm aiming for. Like, I don't want this game to feel like a slog. And at no point so far in the 9 hours that I've played has this game felt like a slog. I've got to like what you said, Matt. You played 4.5 hours last week, and it felt like you hadn't touched it. I'm 9 hours in, and it feels like I haven't. It's not that it feels like I haven't touched it, but it doesn't feel like 9 hours, like, because it's just been so enjoyable.
Yeah, I found myself think the difficulty is perfectly placed. Although there has been bits of like died at bosses and having to keep going back, I feel like every battle, like particularly like the big boss ones or like mini bosses, they're like, I'm constantly on the edge of juggling all those things, which I love. Constantly on the edge of like, have I got enough items? You know, I've got to sort of stay back a bit to cure or to heal other members of my team. Whilst I'm also like, I need to get some spells out to get some hits on the enemy. I'm like the boss battles are absolutely exhilarating. Afterwards, I'm like, I can't believe I got through that. And on one side I died and absolutely I've like sucked. I've like taken a different approach, different tactic, and I've gone through it next time like much quicker, or much better, or much easier. So I think the difficulty is absolutely perfect on normal. I love the challenge. Every boss battle I'm like, oh god, am I going to do it? But I get through on the skin of my teeth, and it's so good when you do get to land those final blows, or when you get the summons out, or when all your party does all the elemental tricks, shots at once, or you're running away and you manage to get cure heal one of your team members when they had like one tiny shred of health, and then they get to do some big hits. I feel like the boss battles are amazing fun anyway. It's great juggling all that stuff and getting better at that. And I actually think that, Dave, if you did it more, I think you would get it better and you'll be more proficient at it.
I think you kind of like misunderstood what I said. The difficulty is not what I'm finding a barrier to. Like, it's not. I'm not finding it difficult when I'm switching it back to normal. I'm finding it just a bit too long for my taste. Like the battles are taking a little bit too long for my taste. I don't want to be stuck in a battle for a really, really long time, because it kind of makes me think, if I fuck this up, I'm going to have to go through it all again, and that passion's going to go, right? And B, it's like, I might have done 1 and B there. I might have done a 1 and B. I apologise for that. But there's also the fact that when I play the game, I don't want to be, stuck here playing it for longer than I intend to play as well, And I suppose that's a little bit of a shit, because it's not a criticism at the game. If anything, what we're proving here is that the difficulty settings are fucking excellent, because I have this way of playing and enjoying a game, and if the game goes against that, I get frustrated and I lose interest in it, right? You've got your passion towards the combat of the game, which comes at it from a different angle. Yet these two difficulty settings completely satisfy both.
Yeah, that's great.
Because you keep switching, and the problem is, so there was a Kotaku article about this, which everyone's been willfully misunderstanding for likes on Twitter this week, which is basically saying the gap between normal and easy is huge, to the point that it playing it on easy, basically you can ignore loads of the mechanics.
Yes,
and that is a shame. Surely the ideal is that, Dave, you can have a difficulty level where it's not punishing, it's not, the fights aren't taking a million years, but you are still having to engage with the stuff that Matt's talking about.
Well, my argument with that is that I totally engage with all that stuff.
Okay.
I am doing all that stuff. I am going, picking the element that takes that boss down. I am doing all the summoning, doing all the special moves, doing all the magic. I'm doing all of that shit. So I am seeing it. I mean, I'm sure if I just swung my sword at the character, it would go down anyway, Yeah. But it doesn't feel like that. Mm-hmm. It feels like I could still get taken out. It feels like they're still hitting me relatively hard, which might just be bullshit. It might be totally fine. I certainly haven't had to sort my health out after every battle. But while I'm in that battle, I'm still engaging with all the elements of the combat for sure. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, when I say it's catering for both of us 100%, maybe that's not quite right, because there is still that part of my brain that goes, I still want a bit of a struggle, right? I want to feel on the edge of my seat during a boss battle. But at the same time, it's the length of it that it intimidates me, I guess, or I know myself. I know that if I go through a long boss battle, die at the end, I'll just be fucked off and won't want to go back to it, right?
Yeah.
But ultimately, I'm still coming out of it really fucking enjoying every second of it. So, although I feel like I'm missing out on certain parts of it, I'm not really that bothered because I'm enjoying it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's worth saluting the fact that you can just change difficulty whenever you want, and it
makes such a big difference.
Yeah,
it makes such a big difference.
Looking at you, Fire Emblem, it makes a huge difference when you can just change.
And
I guess
that's what I've been doing when I've sat down for, an hour or so that I've had at lunchtime when Charlie's asleep, Harry's doing something, Joe's on the balcony reading or whatever. When I know that I've got an hour, I'm usually playing on easy because I'm just, let's just get, some stuff done.
Yeah.
But then in the evenings when I'm sitting down and playing at night, I think, actually, I really want to fucking go for this. I'll knock it back up to normal. And that feels like the fact that you can just do that, and it doesn't say you have to restart at the last checkpoint to do this, or you have to. It just lets you do it. Maybe that's the way I should just continue playing it rather than worrying about what setting I should have it on.
Yeah, and suffice to say, obviously in the original, you die at a boss fight. It's like, well, when was the last save point? It was halfway. Usually there's one just before the boss fight, but not always. And and especially so. Broadly speaking, I totally agree with Matt. I'm absolutely loving the combat. Some of the fights are quite drawn out, but they're incredibly exciting. I really, really like the combat in this. But at no point have I felt like, oh, I'm underleveled for this. Like, there's never been any whiff of like, oh, I need to go to a bit where monsters are, and yeah, because that's. I mean, I don't know. I can't remember if Final Fantasy's been bad for that. I know the Dragon Quest series has been a fucker for that. Sometimes it's like you'll go through a dungeon, find a boss, and it's like you need another 5 levels. Go back and grind for a bit. Which is just...
I remember doing that with Final Fantasy X.
Really?
Like, getting close to the end and then just having to spend ages just thinking, okay, I'm going to... And I remember also there was one of the summons I had where they had there was like a move it did where it could kill someone in one hit, basically. Mm-hmm. And I was getting to the point where I was getting so fed up with the fact that I couldn't progress that I was just praying that if I went into the battle, that it would come off. But it was like, but if that was going to happen, it's like winning the lottery, like in terms of odds. So yeah. That is what was always wound me up with these games was the grind, and if they remove that, then I mean,
they seem to have. Because, I mean, obviously, in the place of sort of grinding random battles, like Matt says, there is a lot of filler with the side quests and stuff. I mean, I've only done like the first set of side missions. When you first go to the slums, and it didn't offend me at all. But then obviously, the world is new to me as it's presented in the remake, and
yeah. So I was quite excited to see new areas. So and stuff, yeah.
And certainly Matt's not the only one who's said it's really padded out, and some of the side missions are shit. So I believe him, 100%. So yeah, like I guess that's what they've switched some of the bullshit for. Which is a shame, but yeah, like I say, at no point have I gone to a boss fight and just, I've gone into big fights and absolutely had my arse kicked. But every time it has turned out it's because I was doing something wrong. I wasn't thinking about it in the right way. I wasn't exploiting weaknesses. So you can think your way through it. So well,
yeah, definitely. So far,
yeah.
There's one boss battle.
I'll tell you something. Sorry. I'll tell you something that I do wish that it took from Mass Effect though. Mm-hmm. Leveling up the characters in your party.
Yeah.
So Mass Effect had an option where it was just like press this button, it leveled them all up. That's fine. Don't worry about it. You concentrate on your own character, but for your party, they'll auto level up.
Oh, there is an auto leveling.
Yeah, I was going to say there is one, isn't there?
Yeah, there's definitely one for weapons as well.
Yeah, I know there's one for the weapons.
Because I've been going into each individual character, leveling them up, and when you get a new member of your party, you're like,
oh, hang on, are you talking the characters or the weapons?
Yeah, everything. The weapons they use, you've got they've got a sort of level, but you've got to upgrade all their weapons and stuff, haven't you?
Yeah, because
it wouldn't be wicked if there was a button where they just did that.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, there is, yeah. So you're in manual mode, but you can have it so it's either balanced or it's combat heavy or it's speed first or something. But, I like to go in because
I've spent so many time going into every single fucking thing set in there.
I do that because I want to, because when you go to the upgrade weapons or sort of section, you go into it looks like you're looking at those galaxies and space, and you can select different elements. I like doing that manually, so I can say, okay, I want to focus. I want to put my skill points, whatever it is, into this first, and then I want to dictate the order versus just it auto levels.
I do not want to do that. I do not want to do that. I mean, doing that for my character, I'm happy with. Doing that for every character, I can't.
I love doing that. It's like I'm moving out. I'm switching materia a lot. I'm depending on, because you also level up materia, so I'm like mixing around. So my materia, most of it levels up, consistently depending on who's using it, and like going into change weapons, upgrade weapons. You can also reset upgrades if you talk to that guy who's dressed like a sailor. He does
the dude that you give the intel to.
Chadley or
Chadley
or something?
Yeah.
Long thing. The darts is good. Matt, have you played much of the darts?
I played a bit of darts originally, but I haven't played loads. But I played a bit.
You haven't topped the leaderboard?
I did like 3 or 4 goes, I moved on.
I can't believe it. I can't believe you didn't see that leaderboard and say, right, I'm getting top of this. Because I did. The moment I saw there was a leaderboard, I was like, right, I'm getting top of this until I move on. That is it. I'm totally focused. Harry was sitting there next to me and just went, why are you just playing darts over and over? And I just, don't worry about it. I need to top this leaderboard. But yeah, I mean, I think moving on from the combat, I've really fucking enjoyed this game, and I think it's been more about the sense of place, the comedy in it, whether it's intentional or not. I think the comedy in it's really good. I think the intrigue around everything you're doing, although it is a little bit cliche. Oh, Cloud's got a past. We don't really know it, and we're going to drip feed bits in flashbacks and stuff. That it's a bit cliched or whatever, but it works because I care about it. Clearly, there's certain enemy types that I don't know about yet that I'm really interested in. And it's starting to flesh out some of these one note. I thought that the scene where you go back to Jessie's home and you find out a lot more about her, I thought that was really interesting and really cool. Even if it was like just a weird. People used to level this criticism at Tomb Raider, and this is way worse to this. That whole bit, you were literally just pushing forward and pressing a button and then walking back out again. At one point, I thought, to be fair, I was happy with that, because at one point I thought, oh, not a stealth section.
Yeah, I thought that. It's like, don't make me get caught by someone because I went the wrong way or something.
Yeah.
There's even a line where they were like, just make as much noise as you want. Don't worry about it. It made me
keep
laugh.
it busy.
Specifically, trying to go, this is not a stealth game, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't panic.
But I think, the weirdness of it. I mean, the dialogue is shocking at times. The lines are very bizarre, and the interactions between characters can be really stilted and weird. But I think it's just the general theme and feeling that you get as you're walking about, experiencing the slums, looking up, seeing that massive still sky. And you just got a sense of place there that I wasn't really expecting. I went into this thinking that the combat was going to be my main focus, and I've come out of it thinking, actually, the setting and the themes is way more interesting to me than anything else. And I want to see where it goes. Like, I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes. It's gonna be cool, man. I'm really enjoying it. I am really enjoying it. And I can't wait to blast through it, really.
I mean, I can't wait to talk to you about Chapter 9. It's just, music, combat, story is like just absolutely amazing. I want to say, so this has made me think, when this is over, maybe I'll try other Final Fantasies. Now, what other ones? Is there anything else that's even like Final Fantasy VII, or is it really of its own type, and everyone else is so different?
The car and the Why was this one picked out, Sean? Above others.
It's so I mean, my knowledge of the series in general isn't amazing. The only one I've finished is 10, which is regarded as one of the better ones, I believe. But yeah, 7 was just like. Well, I mean, it was a huge watershed moment because it really brought Final Fantasy to the West. Like it had always been big in Japan, but like, yeah, it really succeeded over here, which I don't think anyone was really expecting. And it was just like the sheer fucking size of it, the fact that it told a story that was quite mature, which again, the series had been, I think Final Fantasy 4, James, you might know better than me, was the first one to sort of do a proper story, and it sort of had a reputation for that, but this really just took it to the next level.
I think it was because this came out, I mean, it was PlayStation, and it came out at the right time in terms of, like, there was a the visual style was really, because the older games they've also told, like you said, they've told interesting stories as well. It's just that this was at the right time. It was PlayStation. It looked cool because visually it looked a lot better than a lot of things that are out at the time as well.
Yeah.
And it just hit sort of zeitgeist kind of thing. Really.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, so you played 10. So, what made you play that versus like 8 or 9 or the older ones?
Honestly, don't know. I think just at the time, I just wasn't a huge fan of the series as such. But it was just, again, like 10, there was a lot of noise around it because it was like a big. I think I'd just got my PS2, and it was like one of the few big releases that was upcoming. And sorry, go on.
It was the first like Final Fantasy game on PS2 as well, so it was like a big deal because the last one that had come out before that 9 had been really good, like on the original PlayStation. Yeah, it was great, and so everyone was really looking forward to 10. I mean, I remember when 10 came out because I played it as well, and it's also the only one I've ever finished all the way through, and I remember the feedback for it being not entirely positive when it first came out, but then it's kind of over time as it seems to, people seem to have appreciated it more. It was definitely
I will say
a good
one thing that I also like about this is that I know it's not like a 100-hour game. I like the fact I know it's like 35 to 45 hours, and so
that's it.
Maybe more when to get through it. Whereas, is it a regular Final Fantasy? Is it like 120 hours or something? Is it?
No, they're not that long. You're looking at like sort of 70, 80 hours or so, but still. You will find the thing is, right, because I've gone back and played some of these games like over the last couple of years, not the Final Fantasy ones, but games that are like older games like that. And a lot of it, the quality of life stuff in it is the stuff that will kill you.
That's what I was going to ask as well. Yeah,
there's so many things where like the games that like those games that came out for like Super NES and also for PlayStation. I think there was a lot of people had a lot of time, like because we were like young, like in university or in school or whatever, had time to grind through those sorts of games. People don't have the time to do that quite so much now, and I think you'd find it incredibly frustrating, seriously, because if you're talking about padding in this, those games are like mostly padding, like in terms, and it's also not good padding in the sense of like side quests and stuff like that. Although there is a lot of like grinding and things like that just to get your level up so that you can then like move on. That's always been my abiding memory of JRPGs from that era. Is just thinking, okay, I'm just gonna have to sit here and do the same battle over and over and over again until my numbers go up and I'm good enough to do the next bit. That's why it's really good that these things are being remade and they're actually considering, how to make games maybe a bit shorter, but still much more sort of focused and interesting, rather than just sort of feeling like they've got to artificially pad it out.
What are games like Persona? So you like them, don't you, James?
I do, yeah.
So what does that do differently that the older ones of this? Obviously, like Persona, it's out now, so there are like modern quality of life improvements, I guess, but. What else does that do differently that's worth looking at? Because the most recent one has got like Persona, was it 5 Royal has got amazing like 10s and all sorts of amazing scores recently.
Yeah. I mean, again, you see, they're games which I went back and tried to play the first one of those not so long ago, and that I couldn't get on with it very easily because, again, of the fact that the way it's designed is just not very friendly. If you're thinking you're gonna have to sit there and put a lot of time into it before you're actually going to get anything really much out of it. I mean, Persona, I really enjoy that because it's not so much the fantasy setting in the same way, and I know it's the same as with this. It's just interesting stories and interesting characters. I mean, this is one of the things that I was talking about with Dave. Like I was asking him how he was getting on with this, and he was saying like he felt like some of the characters were like one note and like sort of archetypes and stuff like that. And you see, my feeling has always been with these games, and the reason I've always enjoyed like Japanese storytelling like this is that they frequently do this. Like you have these characters which on the surface appear to be very just like standard like archetype characters, but then if it's a good story, then they'll take those characters and then they'll turn that on its head. And over the amount of time that you've been playing it, it will feel natural that's what's happened. But
that's kind of the thing that's worrying me is that I mean, I'm expecting a betrayal at some point, right? Because most stories of this length have betrayals in them, right? I'd be surprised if there's not one at some point. But the concern is like, is that going to be a character that's just clearly been my best mate throughout the whole thing and out of nowhere they're suddenly betraying me? Because that would just frustrate the shit out of me. That's the stuff that will wind me up. If you couldn't see the motives and it's just they're bad now, like that would piss me off. And that'd be even more noticeable if they are as one note as they have been in this game so far. You know what I mean? I'm not saying there's no place for games that have one note characters. I'm not saying that every game has to have this deep thinking character portrayal. I don't feel like that at all. I think there's a place for it. Here, though, if it's like one of the characters that, oh, I love you so much, Cloud. Oh my God, you're such a good friend, and blah blah blah, and then suddenly, ha ha ha, I have betrayed you. I'm just going, oh fuck off! Why are you doing that? So yeah, it's how it handles that. I think will be quite a big moment in this.
And that's what I mean about how that's why often these stories, they are like a really slow burn, and if it's done well, you won't get that feeling. If it's not done well, then maybe you will. It's it depends on how you feel.
I mean, like a character like Barrett. First of all, I was just loud guy, but it's great to learn more about Hitman. Like I've really grown to I've really grown to like Barrett, even, and he seemed a very very simple character at the beginning. One other thing, this makes my PlayStation Pro the loudest it's ever been.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, mine's been alright.
No, mine's been louder. Yeah, no, mine's been louder, but I think it's No Man's Sky that holds that record for me. That game. But yeah, no, I mean, I saw Timur tweet about that in the week about how loud, and I just went, "Watch out! Here comes a bunch of people telling you that they're one silent." Like it's that machine is very loud, isn't it?
Well, there's different models, isn't there? That's why.
There is, yeah. That's what doesn't help matters, but it does help matters for certain people. But Jesus Christ, mine's a PS4 Pro. Like it wasn't a launch one either, so you'd expect it to be half decent.
Do you not know about this? There's different serial numbers that denote different.
Yes.
Because the most recent one does actually have. It is apparently it's got like a different fan system, so it's quieter. But whatever. Yeah.
Sorry, James. Yeah.
I mean, David, I'm playing what's it called, Concrete Genie at the moment, and it sounds like, honestly, it's ridiculous. I mean, I have to play everything with noise cancelling headphones in now.
Yeah, I'm playing
because it is so loud.
Yeah. I'm playing with over-the-ear headphones, and it is so I don't notice it. I'm fine with that now. But it is fucking insane when I take them off, and it's just like, it's crazy shit.
Yeah, I think I might be like 10 or 15 hours up on the end, or who knows, but I'm definitely going to get it finished for next week, and I can't wait to then, listen to find other like spoiler podcasts and learn about the original Final Fantasy and stuff, because I'm fascinated to see what it was like and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, no, I'm absolutely loving it. I didn't think I'd be loving a Final Fantasy game ever, really. So it's great to play this.
I'll tell you what, Matt, there was a really good, like, Edge did like a really good feature actually on like a Final Fantasy sort of retrospective that I'll have to send you or something, because it's really good.
Because
they went through
Switch,
all of this sort of stuff. Yeah, you can get that, and
I'll be fascinated to like start
9
that.
is out though. Yeah,
to see how different it is.
The main complaint that I've seen floating around the internet seems to be that, and this is terrible to even put this out there, but the main complaints that I've seen are from massive fans of Final Fantasy VII, the original game, feeling that it does not reflect the city that they had in their mind. And apparently there's some controversial plot changes in there that have got people really angry. But it does seem a lot of people that's like, that's not how I imagined it. And I kind of think that they're the sort of people that would have been very, very hard to please. Obviously, not knowing the original game, I have gone into this and absolutely adored the setting and all that sort of stuff, and the way the place feels. But I've got a feeling that a lot of those complaints are coming from people that would not be happy regardless.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard to match up to people's imagination and like their 23 or 20 odd year memories of that game and all the emotions that came with that. It's going to be really hard, but I love the way it's realised it. As someone who hasn't played it before, it's amazing.
All right, okay. So that's probably enough Final Fantasy. I'm sure we'll go back to that next week. But before we move on, let's just get a brief Animal Crossing thing out of the way. I think that this may be the way we talk about this game now should just be questions that we've got for each other, because we had a bit of a breakthrough this weekend, didn't we? We had a bit of a pact here, because last week I bought 100,000 worth of bells, and then I went on Twitter and tried to find someone that was selling them for like 500 to 600, found them, DM'd them, got their dodo code, got in there, sold my turnips and come back, and felt shit, really. I was just like, why am I doing this? Like, what's the fucking point? Oh, my bells, I've got more bells, great. Like, who gives a shit? Like, all I want to do is make a nice little house and village. So I sort of said to you guys, look, if you're up for it, I'm thinking of just saying, look, just let me know your turnip prices, and I've got to play the whole do I, don't I thing based on the prices that you give it. And the only people that I can visit are you guys. Yep. And I think you're doing that, Sean.
Yeah.
James is doing it.
Yep.
Matt, you said you're doing it, but I don't think you should.
No, I'll probably stick with my current
Yeah. I think you should. Not taking the piss either. I think you should because you're enjoying that side of things.
I've got thoughts on that as well. I think I said to you in the week. I also like a couple of weeks ago bought. I don't know, like 150,000's worth, and I sold them for 800,000. I was like, oh wow, it's amazing. And then I took like, I've made millions now, right? But
you took that 800,000, didn't you? You took that full 800,000 and reinvested into turnips.
I invested like a lot, but basically, and now I had like 7 million or 8 million or whatever because I found like someone else selling for like 500. It doesn't matter. But I do, and I sort of love the thrill of the chase. And was like, okay, what numbers has everyone got? I was at high, low. I bought it for this. Oh, there's someone who's got it for 500, and it's fun. But I think it would actually be better if you couldn't go to other people's online villages, and it was just like risk reward on your own because it's fun, and I do love the thrill of the chase. But I feel like it's kind of lost something. Although, as Sean rightly said last week or maybe the week before, there are so many more things to buy now.
Yeah.
And also I might have like millions in the bank, but that doesn't mean I can buy everything because I've still got to wait for recipes, I've still got to trade, I've still got to visit places. It just means I can like do things quicker, I guess. But
the one thing that I will say, and this isn't a diss, because one thing that we shouldn't do is like if you want to play this game that way, that was kind of what we were saying last week. Yeah. But then also saying you shouldn't do that, Matt. You can do what you want.
Yeah, that's what's so good. You can play it so many different ways.
Matt, if he likes playing it that way, he likes playing it that way. But when you showed me that screenshot of 6 million bells, it did nothing for me. But when I see like a screenshot of someone's really nice furnished flat, I'm like just insanely jealous. Like that is how where my mind's at, because it's kind of like, okay, you got all those bells, but I don't really care about bells. I care about really nice furniture and like nicely laid out front rooms and shit.
Yeah, the bells have really only enabled me to like build a bridge here or move things around. And like this is a week where I had like I played this game I think like 65 hours I think is my game clock, or 60 odd hours. And like this week I finally thought, hang on. I knew you could do it, but like the bells gone from my head about actually designing my island. I still haven't got a single thing in my house. Like I've upgraded it, but I haven't like.
That's mostly
because, and I've bought basically everything I could. Even before I had like millions in the bank, I was buying like everything like Nook's Cranny, things I liked, and like the catalogs. But I'm one of those people where I sort of want to get everything at once and like just have like a day of decorating.
Yeah, but what I'll say for me is that it's really nice to walk in to my front room and yeah, it's all mismatched and stuff, but I remember getting those pieces of furniture and I've already redone my front room several times, but there's always been that one element that I've had there from the start where I'm like, I can't get rid of that though, because like Harry bought it for me, or I worked really hard to get that. I don't want to just get a full set.
But again, I think this is like sort of the perfectionist part of me. So I'm trying to get like was that set that you and I talked about, Sean? Like the
Ironwood one, yeah.
The Ironwood one's okay. I want like the kitchen of that. I can't get all of them yet, and I've bought a couple of sets, and I've bought like shitloads of things for my house. I should just start putting them in and like arranging them, even if it's not perfect. But I'm like, no, I kind of want to wait. So I haven't really done anything with the house other than upgrade it. And like the town this week, I'm like, hang on, I'm going to start moving people around.
Man's still rocking a tent.
I'm going to start moving, like, talking to Tom Nook about the infrastructure, like moving residents to certain bits, creating a grid structure. I haven't got pathways and roads and whatever, yet. But I've basically, built fences and put trees in certain places, and it's just like I'm 65 hours in. I'm just thinking, hang on, this is like another 60 or 100 hour plus, just like trying to get the island how I want it. And like, I think what you get is there like a maximum really of like 9 residents you could potentially have on each island, right? Around that?
Is it 10?
Maybe more?
I think it might be 10.
I think it's 10.
I feel like the island's actually too big. I mean,
I think
it just means it's...
Yeah.
No, but that's because you're supposed to... I mean, I'm looking at that as being like, it's going to take me a very long time to actually develop all of this.
Yeah,
I want it to be.
So I'm looking at it as like, it's basically the area that I kind of started in, that's town, and then the rest of it is the wilderness, and that can remain sort of untamed.
Yeah, but how can you do that, right? Because this is one of my questions, yeah? So I seem to be completely stuck on a 2-star island, and every time I go and get evaluated, they're like, put more flowers everywhere. There's fucking flowers everywhere on my island now, just to raise it up, and it's just not done it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, right.
You need flowers. Water your flowers.
Well, flowers
like,
and decorations, so like furniture and stuff.
The decorations has dropped that. It did that initially.
Okay.
It said you need to decorate your island more. So I smashed that, right? And now she doesn't mention decorations. She says flowers. Just get more flowers and trees in. And I'm like, the place is fucking covered in flowers and trees. What is going on? So I don't know what's going on at the moment. I don't know how I could possibly.
That is odd.
Like I've got a fun fair bit. I've got I've really done up. Like I don't use the shop much, but you know the tailors. Place. I have made the outside of that look great. Like it's got its own fountain and a little post box and everything. It looks really twee and lovely. And I'm really proud of parts of that island. But I am kind of going enough with the fucking flowers. Like I must have bought. I would say in the past 4 days, I must have bought 6, 12, 30 packs of flowers. And planted them around the island and watered them all.
That's crazy.
And I don't think I've got that many at all. I've got flowers.
She keeps going flowers now.
Not loads.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's nuts. I don't know. If it's not a free star tomorrow, then I don't know what's going on. It might be a glitch.
Do you have all the fruits on your island?
I got pears, oranges, and cherries. Okay. And I've just got bamboo, so I've just planted some bamboo.
Cool, yeah.
That might be
I basically KK Cider's coming tomorrow, so I'm very excited about that.
Nice.
Cool.
But yeah, I just the island is massive. And so I thought, okay, I'll get all the residents, or in like a couple of rows, like a nice grid. I'm like, well, hang on, if I do that, what the hell is the rest of the island going to be? So but then I didn't want that. Originally, I thought, okay, I'm going to put all these new residents in like a cool plot towards the back of the island. But I'm like, well, there's a lot of walking over bridges. It's quite far to see them. Maybe I'll have them close to town. But maybe you're right, Sean. Maybe the area that's town and the houses. But I didn't want to. Yeah, I basically.
My brain's not like that at all.
I'm gonna have to redo it about 1,000 times. But I'm excited to remold the island and resculpt it and move people around.
See. Also, the other thing I'm thinking is there's going to be a lot more buildings as well that are going to come.
Really?
Like there's definitely there will be.
Yeah,
there's
going to be. One, you had like the Dream Factory and shit.
I mean, what there is at the moment is nothing. Like really, compared with what there will be. I mean, there'll be like a coffee bar probably. There may even be like a place where they have like gigs and stuff like that as well, because that's what happened last time.
All right.
There could be a whole. This is why there's other parts of my place that I'm just thinking. I'm earmarking those as being like that's where my coffee bar's going in the future. Like when it turns up, just stuff like that.
So yeah, it's basically my brain is town. Then
I like the evolution of a town. I mean, I said to you guys, I like London. I don't like Milton Keynes. I like things being scattered everywhere and interlinked and put together because it's so much character. I don't like squares. I turn 3 blocks down there and 1 block up, and that's where that is. I like to, so I've built the tailors way off, far away from the community centre or whatever it is. And I've made it really nice around there. But so I want it to stay there. The only thing that I've thought about moving is my own home, because Harry put his home way too close to mine, way too close, and I want a bit of space or whatever. But when I approached the subject with Harry, he almost burst into tears at the thought that I want to move away. So I was just like, of course you do, that's fine. That means that I'm not going to build anything else around us. We've got some space behind our houses. That'll just be our space. We're right next to the shops. It's fine where we are. But the fact that then that means that when I do get to that stuff where I'm laying roads and decorating and all that sort of stuff, I've got to think of a clever way of building that all together and putting that all together. And I just feel like that's going to give it so much more character, because I remember putting that shop there at that time when we built that shop. I don't want that grid system, man. Fuck that. I lived in Milton Keynes for 2 years. Fuck that.
See, my whole thing is I prefer to try and keep things looking reasonably natural, and I even build roads around landmarks and stuff, because I just like the idea that it's like an island, that's been. I don't want it to be hyper organised, because it just doesn't feel right as for a deserted island.
But again, that's the beauty of the game, isn't
it?
Exactly. Two different ideologies, 2 different thought processes, two different approaches, totally catered for. But I will say this, the stories coming off my island have just been fucking hilarious this week. Harry talks about the people on the island as if they're real. And I sent you guys a video of it, I don't know if you saw it, but I was working at my desk the other day and I just looked up and quickly had to whip my phone out and record it because Harry was just about to grass someone up to Isabel. Like he said, I didn't like the way you spoke to me or something. He chose that option. I need to talk about a villager. Oh, which one? This one. Oh, what's wrong? I didn't like the way you spoke to me. And then she went, well, do you want me to do something about it? And he hovered over the yes, please. And then just knocked it down to no, it's fine. And then carried on. I was like, you were so close to just grassing up another minute. He's involved in this whole drama. And I got really pissed off with him today, right? Because I've told you that I'm completely unpopular on that island. No one gives a shit about me. I'm the only one that does any work. But because Harry runs around talking to them and giving them gifts and stuff, everyone loves Harry on that island, right? Well, today... it was yesterday actually. Nook's Cranny was selling a microphone stand with a microphone on it, and I was like, I always see Cherry singing. She's always like walking around singing or standing in a corner somewhere and singing and stuff. I thought I'm going to buy that for her and give it to her, and she's going to love that. That's great. And so I did that, but she was asleep. Right, so I turned it off. Later on, I got back on, and I can't remember how the subject come up, but Harry told me that it basically nicked my idea. he bought a Remake stand and gave it to her, and I was like, fucking hell, Harry, what an arsehole. Like, I had an idea to be nice for once, and you've stolen it and used it. But I love that stuff, like the fact that we are talking about that game constantly. Yeah. And just little things that we like. He goes, I really want this, but I can't afford it, so I'll just order it for him. And he wakes up in the morning and sees the little gift in the inbox, and it's like he's made up about it. The awkwardness of him buying me a really shit t-shirt and me having to wear it for at least a day, just like, I really like it. Yeah, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, that's been the best part of this game for me. I've really enjoyed playing it alongside him. Cool. All right, that's probably, again, enough Animal Crossing, isn't it, for this week? James, have you got anything for us?
The only thing I've played is Fallen Order, because, I mean, I started playing this ages ago and then stopped because Shenmue 3 came out, and then I went back to it the beginning of last week, I think it was, but then I started again in the end because I was like, I have no idea what's going on here. I've completely forgotten where I'm up to. And it's weird because this is really close to being a really good Star Wars game, in my opinion. But it has got a lot of things that stop it from being like really, really good. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I really liked about it. I like, the traversal stuff, the lightsaber combat, and the skill trees and stuff. Yeah. And the atmosphere is really good. Like, it reminds me a lot of Dark Forces.
Yeah,
the
locations
like
and
the old
stuff.
PC ones.
Yeah.
It really feels like that. And also the music is spot on for this. Like, it really adds a lot to it. And I like, setting the game after Order 66, and then like the way that the whole thing is basically like exploring how messed up individuals became because of that, and like how it put all the strain on these relationships and everything. And I think it's a really good idea, and they kind of pull it off. And I did like the Metroid sort of style structure of exploration for some of the planets, but not all of them. But I do have some problems with it. And, a lot of people have talked about the map system being awful, and it really is. Like, the map system is dreadful in this game. And also, why is it that you can't walk between, like, key locations or something?
How do you mean?
Well,
no. Sorry, I thought you said walk,
you can't
and I was like,
between. That sucks.
Yeah. Like, you can't...
it's so annoying, isn't it, having to backtrack?
Especially because sometimes it's not entirely clear like how to get to a location either.
I found that very... I found getting used to... I got used to that really... it took me a hell of a long time, but I did get used to that. Like, I found reading that map actually pretty easy after a long time of using it.
The map was fine. I was like, I don't want to have to like walk all the way back. It's like, and there are some like shortcuts you can open.
A bit frustrating.
Just in my head in.
Yeah.
But, I don't. This is going to sound really weird. In games like this, I try and avoid using maps, and I always like to try and use memory. Like sort of memory of like where I've been and everything. And usually, if a game like this is designed really well, you should be able to figure out where you're going next.
It's fucking impossible on this.
And this, you really can't. It's kind of a mess. I particularly really disliked Dathomir for that. It was horrible to navigate that place because everything looked the same. And it was just, I mean, even there's a bit, when you have to like escape and like run back, and I was like, I've no idea how I'm supposed to get back from here because it's just not, even though it's not far, it's just everything looks the same. It's not very good. But apart from that, I mean, I think it also would have been better. Like, that it's got there's a cast of supporting characters here, which potentially are very interesting, particularly the one that you meet on Dathomir. She's really could be very interesting, but I just didn't feel like their backstories were fleshed out enough for me to really care about them. Was the big thing here, and this is why I really feel this game could have done with probably like another year or whatever in development to sort of flesh some of that stuff out with just some side stories or something, some side missions with those characters, to try and see, try and sort of learn a bit about them, because by the end of the game, they give this whole thing that you've sort of built up this relationship with all these people, and I just didn't feel that was earned, like really by the end. And a lot of the story, like from the game as well, I figured out from reading databank entries, not through what was actually going on in the game. And I don't think that's an ideal way to like tell a story in a video game, like to do it that way.
Have you got an example?
Okay, there's the thing with what's he? I can't even remember his name. The guy who's the captain of the ship.
Yeah.
There was that whole thing. I missed the fact that the reason you end up in a cell is because it was about his gambling debts.
Oh yeah, no, that is I missed that as well. I had to look that up afterwards. It was fucking weird that I didn't really know why I was there. Yeah. No,
I was like, I've been captured by bounty hunters. Okay, why? And then it's like, and then it was like, there's this whole thing where it's like he's really sorry, and I'm like, why?
Yeah,
what this is.
Didn't get that.
Yeah. And then you find out you have to read all the databank entries, and the problem with those also is I don't know if any of you read them, but they're really poorly written. Like they're the writing quality is really poor. Like for a lot of those, it's just I was a bit shocked because normally in games they're usually pretty good, but these was really not so good. And that's the only thing I didn't like about it. I mean, I thought it was very good, but I just felt it could have been a lot better. In terms of,
I agree, and I think that it went. I mean, I was expecting a really, really good game, and what we got was a pretty decent one. 7 out of 10 or whatever. But there were elements of that game that I really, really loved. I mean, the lightsaber stuff, even the customizable stuff. I know people say, you barely get to see it while you're actually using it, but it didn't really matter because I knew it was there. I knew that I'd put that lightsaber together. I knew, there's that whole mission about getting the kyber crystal, all that sort of stuff. I really liked. I grew to like the characters. Initially, they were fucking shocking, especially the main character, but I thought they evolved well throughout. But yeah, I mean, that ending is just fucking unbelievable. Like that ending just was like my mouth was open throughout the whole thing. I fucking loved it, man. So yeah, I think it's an Uncharted, if that makes sense.
It totally is, and but it also feels like it really could be more.
It's Uncharted.
There's so much more you could do
with
this.
Uncharted didn't have polish, mate.
What? No, you mean when you say an Uncharted, you mean the original Uncharted?
Yes,
an Uncharted game. Okay, cool.
Yeah, where I see a massive amount of potential for a sequel. It was I enjoyed Uncharted, but fuck me, there was a lot wrong with it. And I feel the same way about Fallen Order. But then Uncharted 2 come out. And it was like,
I mean, the sequel of
this is such a step forward.
Fantastic, and hopefully it will be. It's got all the bits. They need to tighten it up, and I think I'm very much looking forward to the sequel. Even if I thought I enjoyed this game. It wasn't perfect. There's issues, but I'm really looking forward to the sequel because I feel like there's a lot to build on.
Yeah, for sure. That's the way I'm feeling as well. I'm glad you enjoyed it though.
Yeah, no, I really did. It was a lot of fun. Just like you said, it's a very solid, like sort of 7 out of 10 game. That was a lot of fun.
Yep, cool. The only other person with games that we haven't spoken about on this list is Sean.
Hello.
So, do you want to rattle these ones?
I'll be quick. I've already deleted one because it can wait.
Okay, cool.
Right. So this week, Sky Children of Light came out on Android. This is the one. It's that game company, makers of Flower and Journey. It's their game that's been iOS exclusive for the last like year or something. Played it late last year when I got a new iPad, and hated it. And I decided to give it another go because it's on Android now. Because part of the reason, I mean, there's a bunch of reasons I didn't like it on iOS, but one of them was like playing a 3D platformer with touchscreen controls on the iPad is bad because you're having to actually hold the thing and it's really uncomfortable. Whereas to me, playing it with a controller on the iPad just felt like, well, I'd just rather this was on a console. If I'm going to have to sit and hold a controller and have the iPad in front of me, that just feels like a console game that I'm being forced to play on a quite small telly. Whereas just playing it on my phone seemed better. And it is. But like, there are so many things I really love about this game. But like, so many other things that I absolutely fucking despise about it. Like, the fact that, and I talked about this last time, this is, the new game from that game company, one of the most celebrated indie developers going, 2 like massive flagship titles for Sony. And then this is just, it's Journey again, but it's on your phone and it's free to play. And there's a season pass and there's microtransactions and there's 3 different currencies and all that shit. Like, it's just so woefully unimaginative. That it just absolutely kills me that this was what they came up with. But it is like one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen on my telephone, which is absolutely absurd. Like, some of the locations and stuff are just absolutely stunning. And I've played through. Basically, the way it works is, again, same as Journey. You play through to the end. And then it comes to an end, but then you're reborn again, and you're supposed to do it all over again, which obviously in Journey was like making a cool, like that was part of the story. Whereas in this, it's like, right, so this is how you're going to rinse it for extra content and keep me buying season passes and doing limited time events and all that shit. It's just like so that you go through all the levels and you free these spirits and you get these extra. Like, you find these other, like, children of light and they make your cape better so that you can fly better and stuff. And then basically the way it works is you go through the game, you gather all those and you upgrade your cape as much as you can. And then you play through this final level called the Eye of Eden, which is really hard and miserable. And basically at the end, you give up all the light that you've collected. And then that pays forward into your next playthrough, right? And it gives you more of the special currencies, and you can unlock more cool stuff. And then you start again, and you do all over again. And it is interesting, and it's cool. Like the way it does the very final bit it's a bit of a red herring, and I am going to spoil this because I wish it had been spoiled for me, because it frustrated me for a bit until I realised what was going on. Is that basically you do this, it's sort of when you go into the IV and it warns you, like, oh, you might lose all your light if you do this. What it actually means is you will, but that is the point. And there's a sequence that appears impossible. Basically, again, same as Journey. There's a bit where you're like, oh, fuck, this is it. I'm just going to have to die now, I guess. But then it turns out that is part of what is supposed to happen. And once you're through that bit, you get this incredibly beautiful thing. And this person that I'd made friends with doing the Eye of Eden, like, then turned up in the home area after I'd gone through, like, the whole, like, ending sequence, gone through the credits and stuff. And they were there, and they ran, like, they recognised me, ran up to me, and, like, spent some currency so they could unlock the hug emote, and then gave me a hug. And it was really nice. But also the fact that they had to spend some currency to do that is just like, But
it's nice it's still got those online interactions.
Yeah, it's cool the way it does it. Like, you approach people and so you can, like, again, you can spend currency to make friends with someone, and then it still sort of sticks to Journey's thing of, like, people are all sort of anonymous, right? When you make friends with someone, you can give them a name. It'll just like auto suggest one. There's like loads of random ones it just pulls out of a hat, which is fine. And like, as far as I'm concerned, that might as well be the person's name, so it doesn't really matter. And then, and you can sort of like send each other gifts of some like bits of currency and stuff. And they, there's a chance that they'll appear in your home area and you can give them a high five and then maybe go off, journeying together if you want. Like, that stuff is nice. But again, it's the fact that, like, in Journey, it was just this cool system that, like, you couldn't really, like, you weren't really perceiving the system. You were just going on, you were going traveling, and other people would show up. And then
that was the mad thing about Journey, wasn't it? When the credits rolled at the end, and you were like, I played with 6 different people. It felt like the same one.
Yeah, whereas this is very much like, make friends with someone and strengthen your bond by buying extra shit, which just kills it. Like, and like I say, but there are so many things about this game that are really beautiful, but the monetization layered over that just ruins it for me. Like, I'll keep it on my phone because it's a nice thing to just like put on, and like saying, because it is stunning, and there are loads of like really cool sections where you just like, just flying around, like clouds everywhere, and the sun's like blasting through like, gaps in the clouds. Like, it is beautiful. It's so nice. But I can't ever imagine becoming invested in it, and I think it fails to say anything, because it just feels so hampered by the monetization stuff and the fact that it's the same game they've already made, basically. Like, definitely, because you're all iOS guys, I definitely give it a go. But I just, it's just from that game company, it's just such a weird misstep. Do you
think they're lacking in ideas?
Maybe.
Because
it doesn't sound like they're lacking in ideas. I mean, sounds like there's still some interesting stuff going on. It's just the way it's presented,
and I think it
seems to be the issue, right? And you can't get over that hump of this is monetization.
But then if they'd done this, and even if it, if you took out all the monetization stuff, I think it would still face criticism for basically just being Journey 2.
Right.
And not helped by the fact that all of their previous games have been sort of completely different to each other. So for this to just be essentially a straight sequel, but although it's not treated as such, it's weird. Definitely try it and have a look at it and go, holy shit. But just don't worry about actually progressing or unlocking anything, because it's a fucking slog.
Because it feels like there is a space for a Journey 2.
Yeah.
Taking what they did there and expanding on it and playing with things would be interesting. So the fact they've gone down the mobile phone route is it's a bit strange, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, did you say with... Sorry.
I was just going to say, I don't know if like money changed hands, because like I say, this was an iOS exclusive for quite a while. Now it's on Android. I know the PS4 version has been planned for a while, and I think they've just announced that the Switch version is coming as well. It will definitely be the touchscreen controls are okay for what they are. It will definitely be better with sticks and buttons.
I was going to ask it actually if you had paired like a PlayStation pad or anything with your phone.
I did, yeah. So I did that with the iPad.
You did, okay, of course, yeah,
and it was fine. Yeah, it was all right. To be honest, a lot of the irritations with the controls come more from the fact that like the physics go a bit weird sometimes. Like if you're trying to fly towards something, sometimes the game's trying to railroad you in a certain direction. So you're just like trying to pull in one direction, the game's just going, no, just fuck off that way. Actually, so you feel like you're fighting with sort of invisible barriers quite a lot and stuff, which is a shame. So yeah, it's weird. Like I say, just so many things I love about it, and other things I absolutely hate. And it just sort of lands somewhere in the middle, which for a developer, like Journey's like one of my all-time like top 5 probably video games. So for them to go from that to this is just a shame. The only other thing I've played is the Bravely Default 2 demo. This was announced at there was a Nintendo Direct a few weeks ago, I think. They pulled it out of the hat then. So this is the sequel to... So I assume, have any of you guys played any of the Bravely Default games? I'm looking at you, James.
No.
So Bravely Default was a JRPG on the 3DS, and it was very, very, very clever and did loads of weird things. Unfortunately, one of those weird and clever things was that you had to play through the game 4 times to get the proper ending. So I got near the end of the first playthrough and then heard the multiple playthroughs thing and just went, nah, not doing it. But, loads of really interesting narrative stuff. Like there's this one guy in your party who's got amnesia, but he's holding a journal which goes into the future. Like it has like journal entries about your future exploits, but it's all sort of written in a way that until you have the context for it doesn't really make sense. Like from the start of the game you can read it. Like just loads of weird stuff like that. Then they did Bravely Second, which was a sequel but unrelated story-wise. Now we're getting Bravely Default 2, which is a different story again. So I don't know why this is...
It's like the Microsoft console naming situation, isn't it?
But yeah, demo's really good. They did this with the original, where the demo is like it's like an area from the game, but it's like redesigned and like scaled differently so that basically your characters level up really quickly. And it's like a few missions that they've basically created just for the demo. The idea being that you can get a much better idea of how it works, rather than, because obviously something like a JRPG, if you do a demo of it, like, well, here's 20 minutes of a 60-hour game, you're not going to get a feel for it. Whereas this is like, it's just obviously they've gone to the effort of putting this together, and it's really good. And is
it enough to make you want a game?
Yeah, I'm intrigued because like the original Bravely Default is probably the last like straight JRPG that I've enjoyed with turn-based combat and stuff, because it has this really interesting combat system where basically what you can do is it's the Brave and Default system where every turn you get 1 BP, which is battle point, and that's basically what you spend to do an action, right? But you can default, which means basically go into a guard, and that doesn't cost you a battle point. So you essentially bank a battle point. But then you can also use multiple battle points in one turn. You can even go into debt. But then you need to... So like you could do like, right, I want to do 4 actions in one go, so I'll spend 3 battle points, 4 battle points. But I've only got 1, so that'll put me into debt. So I can do 4 actions, but then I've got to wait 3 turns before I can do something else. And it's fucking weird and really interesting. So even though, the first game is like 8 years old now, like that system is still really weird and unique. And I'm quite looking forward to it coming out now.
When's it out?
I don't know, actually. I don't think it's soon. Plus, obviously, even if it was, who knows whether the current situation means they'll leave it. I don't know. But yeah, like certainly, if you were thinking about getting into another JRPG, it's a more traditional one, but with that quality of life stuff and with a really interesting battle system. So if it is very turn based, it's not like Final Fantasy VII Remake, but if it's something you're thinking of getting into, this might be a really good jumping in point.
Yeah, the remakes definitely opened my eyes to what else is out there, but who knows? But I'll download a demo and give it a go. For sure.
Yeah, that is it from me.
I bought a RPG on the Switch yesterday. Yeah, it was in the Easter sale, and it's been a game that I've wanted to play for ages, but never actually gone out of my way to get it. The South Park Fractured Butthole game. Because I adored the first one, I thought it was great, really funny. Although the combat system is turn-based, and it's a little bit annoying or whatever. But the comedy just drove me through that. So, and I've heard nothing about this. I don't think it was massively picked up on when it was released. But I'm quite excited to get through it, especially because it moves away from parodying wizards and fantasy stuff, and moves on to superhero stuff, taking the piss out of that. So I'm quite looking forward to that. Do you remember the trailer for that, Sean?
I don't know if I do, no.
Yeah, they presented it as a straight up sequel, that they were going to go back to the Stick of Truth stuff with taking the piss out of Dungeons and Dragons and shit. And then halfway through it just said, no, this stuff's lame now, we're all into superheroes. So they're all like taking the piss out of that stuff. Quite looking forward to getting to that. And once I'm done with Final Fantasy, I'm actually going to play another RPG. What has happened to me? I've changed. Right. Should we get on to emails?
Yeah. If you want to send us an email, podcast@thecomputergameshow.com. Maria Mendieta says, Dear TCGS crew, Dave identified exactly why I was turned off by Nier Automata, the developer's astounding audacity to remove automatic saves. Can you think of any games that have made unnecessary design choices, i.e. wonky button mapping, prolonged enemy waves, etc., which have turned you away from completing them? That's a good question. There must be some. I mean, I suppose, yeah, Sky, the shitty microtransaction stuff. There's got to be others.
I mean, the saving in Yakuza was another one.
Yeah.
It was like that was winding me up. Oh, I've got to find a fucking phone box. Oh, great! There's another 3 groups of enemies that want to fight. It was that sort of shit. As we were talking about it last week when we James the whole them trying to simulate random encounters was a little bit annoying. I think also the grinding in Shenmue 3. If I was continuously progressing through that, I would have gone back to it a lot more. But the fact that it was like, you are not ready to fight these people yet. It's like, great, brilliant. So I've just got to stay in this village and train up. Which...
It's so terrible the way it's done in that as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's just... that you can do that kind of thing.
You never really know when you're ready to progress.
Yeah.
That's quite a big problem. I get the idea. I like the idea of having to train up in that little town, and going through a few days of doing a regular routine. But it should have given you some idea of when you're ready to move on. Like, it's just kind of like, give it a go. If you might need to train some more.
Also, the other thing with that was really annoying was that sometimes it was like you got into a fight with somebody, and then obviously they wanted you to say, okay, you've got to keep training so you can beat this person. But I was kicking their ass, nearly
really?
Killed them or whatever. And then it's like, oh no, you're not. No, you've got to do more training.
Really?
And that happened repeat. Yeah, that happened many times.
Oh,
it's like I had them right down to nearly death or whatever, and then suddenly there's some bullshit move or something that happens, but then. And then it's like, no, you've got to keep training. It's like, no, I could have got another hit in.
That's terrible. Fine. Yeah, shit. Matt, you got one for this?
No. I mean, I'm sure there's been... I'm sure there's been those. I can't think of an example right now, really. I mean, prolonged enemy waves, there's nothing I hate more, really. Like, please, I've been in so many games where I'm praying, tell me I'm not going to have more of this stuff. I mean, actually, Fallen Order at points, I was like, I don't know if I can be asked, but I think on that, actually, what I did was I knocked it down to easy, and I was loving it, and I went through it that way, and it was much better for me.
It's nothing compared to Halo. Jesus Christ. Fucking hell. I mean, Halo 5 was just ridiculous with it. You got to a room and you were just like, okay, we're going to be here for a long time, and there's going to be wave after wave after enemy. And it's no different from Destiny, but the combat in Destiny was way more fun, and the things you were fighting were way more fun to fight against. And that's the difference. I enjoyed the combat and fighting against certain things in Fallen Order, and that's why it didn't really bother me that much when they started sending waves of enemies towards you. But I get why you would... Yeah, get disappointed with that for sure. Next.
That's it for emails.
Fucking hell.
Sweet, let's go on to tweets. It's our Computer Game Pod on Twitter if you want to tweet us. 6squid at 6squid_games starts us off. Synthwave is prevalent across indie game soundtracks. What musical genre do you want to see become the next big gaming craze?
Yeah, it's weird. It always this should not still be a thing in the year 2020, but when an indie game has a guitar in it, it's like, ooh, it's a real instrument, and it always really throws me to this day.
That's what I loved about what do you call it? Life is Strange, man. Yeah. They brought that twee guitar music in that I usually hate, and made it make sense to me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. It made it go, there's a time and a place for this. Yeah. And it works really, really well. And I've listened to a lot of that music outside the game as well, because I get it now. Yeah. What a thing for a game to do.
I wish more games did that, because I love that in Life is Strange, but there's really only one track or one or two tracks per episode. It'd be great if there was way more. So just like you would listen to a film soundtrack where, and not like a Hans Zimmer where it's all scores for the film, or just tracks from different artists. for film. It'd be great if that sort of thing happened for games a bit more. So here's like the official sort of soundtrack of all these like licensed songs, but it just doesn't really happen, does it? Because games have their own
it's expensive and puts limit on it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It puts, as we've learnt recently, that the longer gaming goes on and the more people want to go back to old games, that makes the whole thing way harder to do. But Far Cry 3 introduced me to dubstep. And I've got a time and a place for dubstep now. Every now and then when I'm really focusing in on work, I just want to hear...
I think...
I'm like, stick that on for a little bit.
I think Outer Wilds does a really good job of incorporating the sort of folk influences because it ties so... Because you've got, this sort of folk instruments, acoustic instruments, and some sort of synthy stuff going on, which is just a really nice reflection of the fact that you're in this cool spaceship that's mostly made out of bits of fucking wood. I think it's nice.
Oh god, Mass Effect got me into synth soundtracks a lot as well. That was the first one. Like that was the main thing why I liked what I liked about that first game, because I really didn't get on with the first game, but that synth soundtrack was just like, wow.
The fucking
I was like, yeah.
The map music from Mass Effect.
Holy shit! Forget that. It's ridiculous. Good. Yeah, it was completely spoiled in Mass Effect 2 though. Completely ruined in Mass Effect 2.
Was it?
Because I was waiting for that. Like out of nowhere.
Oh god,
when you scanned for too many times and there was that horrific noise.
The Reapers.
Jesus. Yeah. But that wasn't the question. The question was what genre of music will be like represented in
folk.
I mean, folk music.
Yeah, mate.
Matt,
Screamo.
Nice. Don't even know what that is. James,
I've no idea. I mean, I've no idea.
Classical, probably.
Did any of you guys think we'd see potentially more games with jazz in after Ape Out?
I suppose it's a bit too soon, right? It's not...
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
Could happen.
I could see that happening, because that could be like a new trend, with the jazz music going.
Fucking just a whole, like... What is it? If the next Halo game just had music from Craig David in it. Not Dave Craigid.
Craigid.
Dave Craigid.
Yeah, the boy. Dave
Craigid.
Enter. Right, go on.
Rafi plays all the Dual Sense and Dual Shock talk in last week's show. I'm actually struggling to think of a time I really thought, boy, this shake's nice. Except for driving sims with a wheel. What are your top games for force feedback and why? I wanted to include that because, like, when I was into PC gaming when I was like 15, 16, I bought one of those like Microsoft Sidewinder force feedback wheels, and they were amazing good fun. Mostly I was just playing Midtown Madness on it, but that was proper force feedback and it was brilliant. But I guess obviously there are expensive wheel and pedal and driving.
Nothing compares to arcades, man. Nothing compares to that. I've tried like homemade ones before, and I've always thought that they feel like just not as good as when you're in the arcade. I suppose because they're usually cheap ones, aren't they? But yeah, when you're in an arcade and it's like that force feedback in that steering wheel, man, that feels fucking great, doesn't it?
Yeah, like I obviously go back to Sega Rally, but what is it like mini GTI Club? I'm sure that was one where it like had like the handbrake in little minis, like
I know which one you're talking about.
So good.
Yeah, it was a good one.
And obviously, as I was saying, like, there are expensive like racing seats and racing sort of setups, but it's just not really a thing, is it? I mean, could they even do that with the sticks?
Definitely a thing. It's definitely a thing.
So I mean, in terms of like, I think you've got to be really into like racing games together. But like, could they do that with like the sticks? So I'm like racing and like the sticks trying to pull to the right. I mean,
I suppose because
that'd be annoying.
You're like, it's drifting again. Send it back.
But then is your grip on the stick is so poor that'd be quite hard to fight against, mate. I don't know. Depends how the influence.
Sliding around on your thumb and shit.
Because it's not like with like
it would be mad if
a joystick or a steering wheel. You've got like your hand is properly gripping it, whereas if it's just your thumb resting on it, it's quite.
There has got to be some health issues with that. Like using your thumb constantly while something's pushing up against it.
Like, also, if you just like hold the pad, don't hold it right, and suddenly like the stick is like flicking over, like ow! It's almost like it's alive.
Whacking your fingers up.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the stuff that they're hinting at for the triggers sounds better. I mean, the rumble stuff on the Xbox One pad is excellent for one specific game.
Just Forza, isn't it?
But yes, like the idea of being able to pull the trigger back about halfway, feeling it sort of tighten,
feeling tension,
and then clicking it as you're shooting would just be fucking excellent if someone manages to do that. That'd be fucking cool.
I think we're going to get a lot of archery games, actually. I think there'll be an influx of archery games the first year.
Oh, yeah.
It is one of those things, though, isn't it, where it's like, people always say, like, oh, what's the point and everything, but you do kind of miss it if it's not there.
Oh, totally.
Like Heavy Rumble. It is nice.
I mean, that's how 6-axis, man. When you first played the game with that, you were just like, what the fuck is going on here? Oh, that's actually really interesting, because there was an update on Rocket League recently. And I remember playing it just thinking, something's not right. I don't feel connected to what's going on at all. They have changed something big style in this game. So I looked it up, looked up the patch notes. They'd changed the vibration.
All right.
So it, by default, it had changed so that it wouldn't rumble when you're boosting. And that just blew my mind. Because I suppose I was so used to pressing that button, the boost button, and feeling it boosting as well, that when that wasn't there, it felt like I wasn't boosting properly, like there was something going wrong. So, but you just go back into the default settings and switch it to moderate or whatever it is, and then it feels exactly like it did before. But fuck me, that was a mind fuck, and really highlighted how important that shit is once you used it. You know?
But I guess if you're really thinking about it, you can sense it, but you've played so much, you probably don't feel it anymore. And I think always haptic feedback stuff will be a bit like 3D in movies, where the first, like, say Avatar and stuff, it was amazing at a time, but there was a lot of things where, something in the film, something will be in your face to really show off the 3D. And I think there'll be lots of these sorts of things to really show off haptic feedback. And after a while, we'll get to something where, in 3D films terms, I keep going back to things like Toy Story 3, where it's really subtle use of 3D. But it really made use of it. And I think, it might take a while for haptic feedback to get
basic Rumble with haptic feels so much better than the normal Rumble that we used to on the PS4 and Xbox One. Like, it does. It's that stabbiness of it. It's that instant on, instant off that haptic can do that traditional Rumble can't. And I think, that will be one of those situations where they're going to be in both of these new pads. And then it's going to get to a time where you use one of the old pads again and go, fucking hell, this just feels weird.
Okay, Adam Capone. Sean, did you ever finish the Room VR, or did the rooms get too big? Closing thoughts?
No, I had a few people asking if I was going to stream it, and I am tempted to do that, but because I started playing on the Quest, I'd have to start again, like with the Oculus tied to the PC, if that makes sense, because I'd be playing essentially a different version of the game. But that is quite tempting. I think that would be quite a fun stream. But also, streaming Oculus VR stuff is a fucking pain in the arse, so maybe I won't. I do really want to go back to it, though, yeah. It's just having time. Obviously last week I was banging on about Paper Beast. I've not been back to that this week, which I really wanted to. But will do.
Cool. Rob McElroy, Rob Shacks on Twitter. So we all want the new Xbox or PlayStation this year or next. But if Nintendo swoops in with a much beefier, sexier Switch Pro, what gets your money first? Now,
not Switch Pro.
New console.
Probably Switch Pro, man.
Man, you've already got 4 Switches.
No, I said not Switch Pro.
I was about to say.
There's no.
Yeah, no, definitely the Xbox Series X or the PS5 over.
It's got to be whatever's going to offer like new games and stuff.
That's true. Yeah,
and the Switch is not going to do that.
Yeah, because even the best version or whatever a pro version of a Switch could be, it could have like an amazing, OLED display, and even the best version of what that could possibly be will be great, obviously, because I love my current Switch, but it's not going to match up personally a new Xbox or new PlayStation.
Well, actually, it might not arguably, seeing as you're an Xbox One X owner, Matt, arguably you could say the same applies for that, right? Because you could just play those games on your Xbox One X anyway.
Yeah, but the new pad's got a share button. So
good point.
500 quid. So for me, it probably comes down to what exclusives the PS5 is going to have. Like, I can probably play most Xbox stuff on my PC going forward, or at least for a couple of years. So if there's cool new stuff on the PlayStation, I would go for that. If not, I would honestly be tempted with the Switch Pro instead. Just the amount of use it gets. Like, I don't really use my PS4 anymore. And I play Xbox stuff on PC. So
in ages.
Yeah, I only use my PlayStation for the Sony exclusives. So, Louis Bell, fucking, I should write this down. Lewis Belfort, does Sean think 360s in multiplayer is dirty or part of the game? The answer is dirty.
Oh, this is Asphalt 9, isn't it? Do you know, I've not done a proper multiplayer race with other people yet, because I think I haven't unlocked the shit I need yet. I can't remember. I remember trying and there was an issue. But no, noted, if it's considered bad sportsmanship to use 360 spins in online play, then I'll bear that in mind, thank you.
Fuck that. Cool. It's in the game, mate. It counts. That's what you got to do.
MD Krabuffs. What's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten and liked?
Kangaroo.
Yeah, I've had snail. That's pretty good.
It's better than alligator. Alligator was. I've had snail as well. Yeah, alligator was rough.
It's very fishy, isn't it?
Well, it is. I know it sounds stupid, but it is like half chicken, half fish.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like, because it is a land water animal or whatever. It was kind of like, it kind of is sense. Like a combination of fish and an animal. But it was just really sort of like the texture wasn't very nice. Kangaroo tasted alright. The rabbit was overrated. Mm-hmm. People say, "Oh no, rabbit's really." It's not. But no, that's probably the weirdest thing that I've eaten. Alright. Oh, and I like traditional Cockney South London. Well, that's two different things, but traditional South London shellfish. I like cockles, winkles, stuff like that. That's pretty weird. People look at them and just go, "Fucking hell, what are you eating?" But cockles
I was
covered
worried
in
you were going to say
vinegar and pepper.
Fucking eels or something, but
no. I have never tried jelly deals, and I never will.
I only got the other week, and only because someone mentioned it. You know, Eurogamer's like deals website.
So did John Denton. John Denton did the same thing.
Did it?
Jelly deals, yeah.
He said, "Why do they call it jelly deals? Is it because it's like jelly is like jealous?"
Yeah.
I said, "No, because of jelly deals."
But what's the connection there? What's jelly deals got to do with anything?
There isn't one. They just like puns.
It's just a pun.
Like puns.
Good puns got to be like both elements of it have to be related to something.
I think that was a good pun, but it's just a pun.
Sean, have you seen Eurogamer puns?
Yeah, that's pretty shit.
Yeah, I only got that like last week. Go me.
Yeah, jelly deals. Harry wanted to try some because jelly deals is in the Millwall anthem. And then when I showed him what they were, he was like, "No, thank you, no, thank you." James, you've not answered this. What's the weirdest thing that you've eaten that you've enjoyed? Is it arse, James? Is it arse?
No, it might be scorpion.
Okay.
That was all
You've
right.
eaten scorpion. Fuck that.
Yeah. I've eaten centipede as well, but that wasn't that great. Yeah. Sorry.
Is there anything in particular? Because I know like actual Chinese cuisine is not a lot like of a lot, the stuff we get over here. And I know there's a lot of like quite unpleasant meat stuff going on. Like
tread
carefully.
No,
go on, get to it. Just
say
so
there's
it.
an episode
just say what you're really thinking.
Shit, what's it called?
Lassie. Go on, where you going, John? Where you going, Sean?
Netflix. It's called Ugly Delicious. It's David Chang's current project. I mean, it seems to have a different show on Netflix every week, but whatever. There's an episode of that where he's Korean, but he goes to China and like samples some actual Chinese food, and he actually can't eat a lot of it, and he's like, so he can't speak Chinese, but he's like saying to his translator, he's like, "Can you please?" Because obviously all the staff are like watching him eat, and he's like, "Can you please just explain to them? I'm just not used to it. Like, this is so rude of me." But he's like spitting stuff out. Yeah, lot of I can't remember exactly what he eats because a lot of it's like really sort of sinewy. It's like a lot of cuts of meat that we would not expect to eat over here.
There's a lot of internal organs that happens quite a lot, which I'm not a huge fan of. It never tastes that good. But I mean, for Spring Festival every year, we used to go to like my wife's like family, and there was always like there's one relative we had was a big fan of internal organs, and used to just like the whole table was all just like hearts and livers and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't want to eat because this is. I mean, most stuff I'll eat most things, but that stuff it just tastes gross. It's horrible.
I've never understood that either. You know those Brazilian barbecue places where it's all you can eat or whatever. We went to one together. When they come around with hearts. And you just go, actually, I'm all right. I don't need to eat that bit.
Get it on the plate.
The thing about that is it's not even like, it's not like a cultural thing. It just tastes gross.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just horrible.
Well, not even that. Like, I wouldn't even say it tastes gross. It just tastes like a chewy bit of gristle. Yeah. And you're kind of like, it's just... all right. Like, can you get the steak back out? I'm not getting anything out of this. It's not good. Totally.
But yeah, we used to have that, and it's funny because then also other members of the family also disliked eating this stuff, and so some years they used to get KFC and tell everyone it was for me. It wasn't. It was just because they didn't want to eat all that stuff, and so they just used to get that and just be like, "Oh yeah, it's a foreigner here. He doesn't want to eat this," and then they used to eat it.
Brilliant.
Do you ever get that with prawns where you look at them and just think, "Is it worth it? Is it worth
the
it?"
amount of eating on it.
I love a prep. I love a prawn.
Yeah, I'm alright with prawns.
But all of the just getting the little bit off the bottom and then unwrapping it and squeezing it and it spits out a bit and all that sort of shit.
Dave, you want to do shrimp, like it's much better. They're massive. You can we used to eat that all the time in Shanghai. It's great.
Yeah, but what are they still in their shells with their heads on?
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
but that's long-ting. Just
it's not. You just squeeze it out. It's really easy.
Go down to Iceland, get some frozen prawns, put some Thousand Island dressing on a little bit of lettuce, slice of brown bread. Like, there we go. Put it in a champagne glass for extra class. Go on, right, what's the next one?
Oh yeah, Lee the Knight. What with Sony's Dual Sense controller being revealed, I can't see the price dipping below £75 for one of them. Are high-tech controllers a rip-off for consumers? Do they need all that wizardry inside?
Yes.
I mean, currently they're 60 quid, right?
50,
they are
60
ridiculously
quid,
expensive.
They are 40 if you find a good deal. And that feels like a bargain. I was like, oh, brilliant, I've got a new one for £40.
I really want some new Joy-Cons, but looking at the price of them, I'm just
they
like,
are 75 quid, aren't they?
60, 70 quid usually, yeah. I've been looking because my
Nintendo last week.
My home button on my Joy-Cons is being weird. It just it's fine when it's not actually connected to the Switch, but if it's plugged into the Switch and you press the home button, sometimes it just disconnects the Joy-Con. It's really weird.
Yeah, I've been having situations where it will just go, like you're playing a game and it'll go, that click sound or whatever, and you're just like, what's happening?
Really strange.
What's happening?
I've done enough repairs on these. I mean, obviously, I've got the custom casing on them, which is nice. But yeah, the home button thing's getting annoying. But yeah, because of the fucking cost of them, I'm just going to run this one into the ground, and then
the Joy-Cons are the worst as well. Like in terms of just breaking all the time, they're just terrible.
And the worst part is
ridiculously expensive.
At this point, it's like, take out the fucking infrared camera. Take out I don't need the Amiibo sensor. Let's be honest.
Yeah, you do. You need the infrared camera. I need it for brain training. You have to do like rock, paper, scissors with it.
But what he's saying is that give me an option where I don't need that shit. Like, to be fair, Hori have bought out those. I've got the one with the D-pad plugged into mine, but you can't use it wirelessly. So that's a little bit frustrating. But then it was like 15 to 20 quid. We didn't pay a lot for it at all. But yeah, I'm pretty sure. The thing is, I want some new Joy-Cons, but at the same time, I just want a whole new Switch. And it still fucking winds me up that I can't plug a light. The light is so nice. Just let me plug my light into the fucking TV, man. Jesus. If that was 50 quid more, if that was 200 quid instead of the 150 we've seen the light being sold at recently, but you could plug it in, I'd pay that. Definitely. I'd get a new Switch.
In terms of Joy-Con, Nintendo revealed last week that they're doing a bit like the Xbox sort of custom controller where you can get custom Joy-Con controllers in colours now. So I'm sure there'll be even more.
Okay.
You can change like the colour of the Switch here, the buttons and obviously the actual thing itself. I've just looked. It's definitely in the US. I can't see it on UK store yet, but that'll cost even more.
That'd be 100 quid, right? That'd be $99.99 if you want your custom colours and stuff, I reckon.
That's insane. We're going to end with Kurt Lewin at angry_Kurt on Twitter. If the
My
barbers
boy.
don't open for ages, what will Dave end up doing with his hair? Get Joey to have a go at cutting it, have a go himself, or just shave it all off?
I'm not going to do any of those. I used to shave my head quite a lot, but I'm too old for that now. So I am. I'm just going to let it grow until the barber's open, and then go and get it
in
cut.
August.
August. Of what? 2021. Jesus. I don't think.
Dave, I think you should grow it and like have curtains or something. I'd love to see that.
I said to Joe, I put them in curtains the other day and walked in, and Joe just freaked the fuck out. But I want to get to the point where I look like one of those old gangsters. We get like a hair tie, like what's it? John Travolta in Pulp Fiction. Get a hair tie and a little ponytail at the back, like all slicked back. That's where I want to get to. I don't know what I'm going to do with this hair. It looks fucking ridiculous at the moment, but there you go.
Yeah, shut up.
Worst things happen at sea.
Yeah, I've started just shaving mine to the skin, same as Matt's now. Fuck it. Can't be asked.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to do that because it's ridiculous. The trouble is, though, I cut it really short the other day, and I just looked at him and I just thought, I do look like Captain Picard. And it's like, that's great. I'm not even 40 and I don't want to look like that yet.
Sean, were you going short back and buff?
What do you mean? Since when?
Well, you used to go, I'll have short back and sides, buff on the top. Is that what you used to do?
For a while, yeah, but I haven't actually been to a barber's in years.
Oh, right, okay.
But no, I was cutting it myself, but I just wasn't doing it that drastically short. Whereas now I'm just like, I don't even put the guard on the clippers anymore. Just fucking
smash it out, mate. Smash it out. Yeah, that's what when I used to shave my head when I was younger. I used to just get the clippers, no guard on it, and just run it all over it. Felt great, but I haven't got the nose for it, Sean. I've not got the nose for it.
I have either.
It's
but
far too big.
It's the bald spot, mate.
We also don't have a choice.
Oh, fuck, I didn't tell you. So one of the reasons I considered this. So Isaac was in the bath the other week, and he was like, he'd got my my shaving brush, for doing the soap. He'd grabbed that and he was like getting bits of like foam out of the bath and like painting the side of the bath with it. And I was sat next to the bath and he goes, Dad, and he's like gesturing at me, like pulled my head down and just painted over the bald spot with foam from the bath. I was like, yeah, do you know what? Just get it all off. Fuck it. Thanks, Isaac.
Thanks a bunch, son.
Kids don't give a shit about that stuff, do they? Yeah, why is he bald? Yeah, all right. Just shut up.
It's when they get a bit older, you can just say, like, if they start getting like that, you can just say, it's hereditary as well.
Good luck.
So,
I can't say that though. So, all right, okay, let's wrap up. Matt, do you want to do your little bit at the end where you say if you've got Twitch Prime, then you've also got what is it? Go on.
It's Dave's making fun, but he can't even get it right. He can't even get it right.
Don't give a fuck,
he'll soon
mate.
take the Twitch money.
Too
He'll
cool
soon
for this
take the
shit.
Twitch money.
Fucking earned it.
James, are you streaming Animal Crossing tonight?
No.
What's that?
We're recording a podcast
No,
tonight,
I mean
Matt.
when
It's
this
like,
goes
about
out.
when the show comes out, you dickhead.
Yes.
I know.
Come on, Jay, it's only 10 to midnight. Get a stream on.
I don't
Fucking
know.
hell.
Yeah, I don't know whether I'm going to do another one, to be honest, because it's it feels like it's run its course. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
It feels like it's kind
Animal
of done.
Crossing's over. Friday, Blood and Truth, though. James, you think you're quite close to the end, aren't you, on that one?
I'm very close to the end. I'll finish that this Friday,
Brilliant. So
and then I'm going to
Friday
move on
night,
to Dreams.
confident.
Oh, and on to Dreams. Fantastic. So, James, so the idea of Dreams is are you going to be
What
playing
a way
random?
to announce it. You haven't announced that yet, have you?
I did. I talked about it. I talked about it on the stream.
Oh, did you? Okay, right. It's just
No
sounded
watches,
like
so they don't
imagine
know.
if you were announcing your stream by going, yeah, just moving on to Dreams after that.
So for those who didn't watch James's stream where he probably said this, James is streaming.
Which was most people.
Yeah,
Go on.
James is streaming Dreams. The idea is what you were playing random levels, making your own, or just playing others.
I'm going to just play what other people have made.
Fantastic.
There's a lot. There seems to be quite. I had a look. There's quite a lot of content on there of varying quality. So
Fantastic.
I'm quite looking forward to it.
That isn't this week because this Friday James is due to finish Blood and Truth, but possibly the week after that James will be on there. So yes, no Animal Crossing tonight, but James will stream Blood and Truth Friday at 9.
James,
and I'll be...
James, you're not going to vet these, are you? You're not going to pick them out before you go?
No. I'm just going to do it randomly.
That's the way I do it. That's going to be quality. I'm bang up for
that's
that.
Friday from 9. That's James, and I'm streaming Super Metroid Sunday at 8:30. And that's it for our streams. There may be the others, your ones here and there. So just go to twitch.tv and / the Computer Game Show, or search for us in the app.
I was going to say, because I have secured a copy of Disaster Report 4, the full game, so that's happening at some point. Just not sure when yet.
Fantastic. Yeah. That's happening point. And as Dave tried to say earlier, if you've got Amazon Prime, you have Twitch Prime, and you get one free sub with that. And we really hugely appreciate it. It takes up 30 seconds to link your Amazon account and your Twitch account. You get one free sub. You can't keep it. You got to give it away, and we'll love it if you gave it to us. Just go to twitch.tv/prime, I think it is, and you can do all the usual bits. And we've got Patreon, of course, if you want to support what we're doing over here, podcasts or streams, whatever else, you go to patreon.com/TCGS. There's you get exclusive monthly podcasts you can't get anywhere else on there. You get videos early, that sort of stuff. So go over there if you want to support us, and it's thecomputergameshow.com for everything else.
And we will catch you next week. We hope you're doing all right. Let's get through this together, yeah? Let's all get through this together. I'm talking about this podcast. Right, catch you later. Goodbye. Love you. Goodbye.
No.
Goodbye.
No, bye.
Goodbye.